Salutations, friends, and welcome back. I am so happy to be here and want to take a moment before we begin to thank everybody for all the well wishes. I had another surgery last Thursday. It all went extremely well. In fact, I wasn't sure if I would be staying for a few days or not. They weren't sure. But it turns out that everything with the surgery went incredibly well. They were able to go in through my wrist instead of my groin, which is a much faster recovery time. Nobody likes a sore groin. I suppose the only bad news is that I shaved my balls for nothing. But hey, I was prepared, right? The nurse just kind of lifted up and checked, and she said, smooth. Yeah, bald. Shaved my balls bald just in case they needed that area, but it turns out that they didn't. And I also want to take a moment to thank everybody for the well wishes and all the Facebook messages and birthday wishes. Yesterday, in fact, it was my birthday, and I had an incredible day with my son and my family. Just went to a movie. Then we had a big Chinese food feast. And I'm not big on cake, so my wife got cherry pie and vanilla ice cream. Cherry pie a la mode. Can't beat it. I had a wonderful day. And thank you all for the well wishes for both of those things. I'm so happy to be back here. And also saying it's also important to point out that now that my health is pretty much improved, I'll be returning to a more full-time schedule here. Now, I don't know if that means 4 or 5 shows a week, really whatever we could fit in, because the summer is coming. And as you all know, I spend the weekends with my family at our cabin in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, touching grass and hiking and fishing and just kind of exploring the woods. And I intend to keep doing that, but still, I've kept a very light schedule since my first surgeries, and I guess the blood thinners too was an issue. Ask anybody on blood thinners; it tends to tire you out and make you a little more lethargic than usual. But the good news is, after this last surgery, I'm going to be off at least the chemical blood thinners. I have to take a St. Joseph's aspirin for the rest of my life, but that's not as big a deal as I don't like chemicals. I was on Plavix. I don't know. I've heard about a lot of side effects. Yeah, we want to take a moment to welcome in the chatters, whether you're chatting on Kick or Twitch or Twitter or Facebook, or our home base here on YouTube. But welcome in the Kick chat. Let me go over there. And it is a brand new month on Kick. So that means I have 0 Kick dollars or money for the month so far. And does anybody know what's going on with Spreaker? Because I have to pay Spooky to do the graphics. And usually I pay Spooky out of the Spreaker money. But they just decided they weren't going to pay for the month of May. They paid no payout for the entire month of May. And I think they're already on a 90 or 120-day net schedule. They keep your money for like 3-4 months before they finally give it to you. I don't know what's going on. Spreaker's just like, yeah, you'll get that by July 30th or June 30th, whatever. And I'm like, wait, what happened to the May payment? And I've sent a couple messages. Somebody told me that it may just be because the last day of the month was Sunday, and in that case, it takes them 2-3 days. I want my money, Spreaker, so that I can pay Spooky. But I'll move some things around and we'll be fine. So I mentioned that we're going to be doing a whole lot more shows. So it is a good idea. People give me suggestions all the time for, hey, you should cover this person. You should cover this person. And while I always listen, there are various times when my ears are more open. And this is one of those times. I'd like to start doing a lot more shows here. Now that my health permits that. So now's a good time to get those suggestions. So in the comments on this video, leave a comment. Tell me what person you want us to dig into. And I will start looking into those people and start getting some more shows together. But, some general rules. People sometimes send me some, wackadoo that's on YouTube and has like 3,000 subscribers. We want to go for not punching down, but punching up, right? So please do get those suggestions in. You can put it in all capital letters in the live chat. and I will share that on the screen. We'll ask everybody else if people like your suggestions. I have a lot of interviews that I just didn't get to where people agreed, sure, I'll come on your show and do an interview. Various authors and content creators and other people. So we'll be spinning that up. I'm going to be doing a daytime show also, which is going to be a little different format. It's going to be quicker. It's going to be like 1 hour max, the whole show, 1 hour. So, because there's a lot of subjects which I'd like to cover, but I can't because it's just not enough to do a 2 hour show. And I've tried splitting shows, like doing two subjects, and that doesn't really work out well with the algorithm. So here it is, right? There is a show suggestion channel on the Truth Seekers Discord. Yes, you can also put your stuff in there. Emery Smith, it's been a while. Maybe update. Here's the update on Emery Smith. He's drunk. He's still drunk. He's drunk again. I don't know. And I also want to put something else on the record. I'm aware of this back and forth with the retarded Avengers. They think they're fighting cyber stalking and harassing by literally cyber stalking and harassing people. I know that they had something to do with the deletion of the Hidden in Plain Sight YouTube channel and its nuking. Now they're doxing them and talking about some company they had 6 years ago. And then other people are firing back. And I'm going to ask again, I've told people, please do not use my name or my images in any of your posts, because it implies that I'm co-signing whatever you're saying. So if there are people saying, hey, call the cops on these retarded Avengers and putting my name or my face on it, I don't condone that. I'm not supporting that. I guess what I could say is I can only speak for myself. Nobody else speaks for me. So if you see somebody posting shit and putting my name on it or putting my face on it, and I have nothing to do with that. So don't dox me, come after me, call the cops on my family again. I'm not doing anything. I have been very quiet about this entire situation because it's a legal situation and I'm not stupid. So just important to point out, if you see anybody posting and saying things about me, I didn't tell them to do that. I mean, by the way, I'm not in any group. There's no crew. Oh, Campion's crew is doing this. I don't have a crew, you moron, you retard. It's just me. Just me. That's it. So if I say something, certainly I support and condone what I'm saying, but I am not supporting or condoning anything other people are saying. And I think that the whole back and forth is a little bit stupid. Let's see. Here's a good thing to do. This all started on 4/20/2026. So, the retarded Avengers have had 42 days now to get me arrested for cyber stalking and harassing, or 42 days to get me arrested for having something to do with somebody's tragic suicide. And they haven't. And they won't, because all they have is their feelings. Nobody has any facts. And I'm aware that people are now once again threatening my YouTube channel. And I just want to put it on the record. If, something happens to my YouTube channel, I'm not going to remain quiet about this shit anymore. I think I've been very fair and letting these morons say whatever they want to say, because I'm a believer in free speech, but apparently the other side is not a believer in free speech. They're a believer in nuking people's YouTube channels because they're fighting cyber stalking and they're fighting harassment by getting people's free speech taken away from them, by destroying people's livelihoods and platforms. And again, people who do that are never the good guys. So I don't understand how these people don't see the optics of what they're doing, looking so terrible. And hey, let's release these people's legal names and let's threaten to release their addresses if they don't stop, whatever that means. And by the way, also just to put on the record that the purpose of tonight's broadcast is not to cyberstalk, harass, intimidate, threaten anybody. We're just talking about wackadoos and quacks in conspiracy land, and that's part of free speech, and I support that, and I will continue to do that. All right, so also just a note, it is a brand new month, so I just want to mention that we're a viewer supported show. I read every single super chat. I thank every person who sends any Kick support. And by the way, even if you follow our Kick channel during a live broadcast, I give you a big shout out and thank you. Go over to kick.com/Truth Seeker Show and just follow the channel. If you don't have an account, it only takes a few seconds to set one up and follow us there. Because I have a feeling we're going to be needing our Kick channel in this coming year more than ever due to people threatening to, take everything away from me, like my YouTube channel. Because somehow, and what's great is that people don't see what a valuable resource this channel is for other researchers and people interested in these topics. I know people who come here just to find out if somebody's full of shit before bothering to waste time listening to them in their interviews or whatever. I think that's a valuable resource that should be on YouTube. After all, there's thousands of lying, scamming channels. Why shouldn't there be at least one channel on YouTube exposing the lying and the scamming? But it is what it is, and you can't reason with morons. Okay, so let's get into crazy Kerry Cassidy. And I call it Project Scam a lot. A lot of people do. And I want to put some things on the record before we get to the video that we're going to be critiquing and sharing. And that is about Project Camelot's credibility crisis. Kerry Cassidy, she has a pattern of platforming convicted criminals and calling them, quote, alien whistleblowers, unquote. Kerry Lynn Cassidy is the founder and CEO of Project Camelot, and she's positioned herself for nearly 2 decades now as a so-called leading voice in the so-called disclosure movement. Since co-founding the project around 2005, initially with Bill Ryan, but he left, she has produced thousands of interviews, documentaries, live broadcasts, books, and more, claiming to expose secret space programs, extraterrestrial contact, black projects, and, of course, global conspiracies. Her platform, which is now operating primarily through Project Camelot TV network and a Substack, by the way, it's not TV, she just calls it that, presents raw, unfiltered testimony from self-described insiders, military veterans, and so-called experiencers. And Cassidy has a huge ego. She describes her work as fearless journalism that, quote, cracks open hidden realities, unquote, for millions of people. But a closer examination of her actual work reveals a troubling pattern, because many of her most sensational whistleblowers on alien and secret space topics have very serious criminal backgrounds. Imagine that. And doesn't that speak to their credibility? I would think it does, but not for Kerry. And the people that she uses to help sell her fake alien stories, those people have had convictions for child-related sexual abuse and even full-on murder. And rather than rigorous vetting, Cassidy often just amplifies their stories with minimal or no skepticism, framing them as persecuted truth tellers suppressed by the establishment. And I can think of 2 very prominent examples. The first is Bill Brockbrader, also known as Bill Wood, and the second is Mark Richards. And these 2 illustrate how Project Camelot and Kerry Cassidy has repeatedly elevated convicted felons as some kind of authoritative sources on extraterrestrial and alien matters. Bill Brockbrader is a court-martialed child sexual offender turned fake Navy SEAL in the early 2000s. By the way, he was busted by a real Navy SEAL. He was never a SEAL. Full stop. Cassidy and Project Camelot heavily promoted Bill Brockbrader, who appeared under the alias Bill Wood. And some people say he was using an alias to prevent people from digging up his criminal past that involved the sexual abuse of children, specifically his sister-in-law. He claimed to be a former member of a non-existent Navy SEAL Team 9 with psychic abilities involved in top-secret operations, including Project Looking Glass, a supposed time-viewing technology, Area 51, and extraterrestrial-related missions. His interviews conducted with Cassidy, David Wilcock, and others detailed government conspiracies, alien technology, and future timeline, content that fit neatly into the Project Camelot narrative. But here's where it gets messy, friends, because court documents tell a starkly different story. In 1998, while serving in the U.S. Navy, Brock Brader was court-martialed and convicted of 3 sexual offenses against his 11-year-old sister-in-law. He was dishonorably discharged, he served 3 years in prison, and he became a registered sex offender. Later, he repeatedly failed to comply with registration requirements where he lived after moving between states. In 2012, he was convicted in federal court in Idaho for failure to register as a sex offender and sentenced to 30 months in prison, followed by a decade of supervised release and a $10,000 fine. U.S. Marshals actively sought him as a fugitive, non-compliant sex offender as recently as 2022, describing him as someone who falsely claimed to have been a member of Navy SEAL Team 9 and downplayed his crimes in online videos. Skeptics and forums quickly debunked his claims after the conviction surfaced, noting inconsistencies like his fabricated fake SEAL credentials and the timeline of his offenses. Yet Cassidy and her platform gave him a prominent stage before these facts became widely known, treating his alien and secret space program tales as credible insider testimony. Brock Brader's case highlights a core issue with Project Camelot's approach. Extraordinary claims about interstellar conspiracies sourced from individuals with documented histories of deception and serious crime. And then, of course, my favorite source of hers was Mark Richards, a convicted murderer who she promoted as captain of the secret space program. More recently and more persistently, Cassidy has centered on Mark Richards, who she interviews from inside a California state prison. Richards, who is serving life without parole, claims that he is Captain Mark Richards of the U.S. Space Command, a decorated officer in the secret space program who fought in the legendary Dulce alien battle against non-human entities, who undertook off-planet missions and possesses firsthand knowledge of extraterrestrial alliances, advanced technology, and human-like alien hybrids. Of course, Mark Richards insists that he was framed for murder precisely because of his knowledge and was off-planet during the crime and the murder that was committed. Cassidy has conducted multiple in-person prison interviews with him, including total recall sessions, and posted them on her site. She always portrays him as a political prisoner silenced by the system. And of course, his wife, Joanne Richards, has appeared in supporting roles. Public records confirmed that Mark Richards, her source, was actually convicted in the 1980s for his role in a brutal 1982 murder of Richard Baldwin in California. He and his accomplices were found guilty in separate trials. Richards received life without parole. Far from being framed a space hero, court documents describe a calculated plot involving burglary and a brutal murder. There is no credible evidence at all supporting his off-world alibi or his claimed military and intelligence background, claims that originate almost entirely from his prison interviews and Kerry Cassidy's own promotion. Cassidy acknowledges his incarceration but dismisses it as simple government retaliation. This framing is classic for Project Camelot. Any contradiction or problem with credibility, like a prison record or a murder conviction, becomes further proof of suppression rather than a red flag about source reliability. Richards has been interviewed extensively over the years, with new sessions still appearing, turning a convicted killer into one of the site's flagship so-called whistleblowers on alien disclosure. But there's a broader pattern here. These cases are not isolated. Project Camelot's model and Kerry Cassidy's model on how to sell morons fake stories relies on guerrilla-style interviews with unverified claimants, often without any independent investigation or corroboration, background checks, or cross-examination. When sources later prove to be unreliable due to criminal records or inconsistencies or outright lies and fabrications, Cassidy never retracts or critically revisits the material. Instead, the platform moves on to the next sensational story. Critics, including skeptical podcasts like mine and some online forums, have long pointed out that this approach fosters confirmation bias within the conspiracy community. Extraordinary claims about aliens, secret space fleets, and interdimensional wars demand extraordinary evidence. And relying on individuals with motives to embellish attention, denial of their crimes, or financial gain through book deals and donations fails the least little bit of basic journalistic standards. As one former post from the Brock Brader era noted, his testimony was answered in court, yet it lived on through Project Camelot. Cassidy has supporters and defenders who like her stupid fake alien stories, and they argue that the truth can come from anywhere and that mainstream media ignores genuine whistleblowers, which is fair enough in principle. But when the recurring sources include court-martialed child sex offenders and imprisoned murderers whose revelations conveniently align with the host's worldview, skepticism is not cynicism, it's intellectual honesty. In an era of deep fakes, AI generated disinformation, and eroded trust in institutions, platforms like Kerry Cassidy's Project Camelot bear responsibility for amplifying these fake, unvetted claims that blur the line between speculation and documented fact. Project Camelot continues to attract a dedicated audience eager for that forbidden knowledge. But Kerry Cassidy's proven track record of elevating literal criminals as her cosmic truth tellers should prompt viewers to ask harder questions. Who benefits from all of these stories? And at what cost to credibility does the disclosure movement operate? Until rigorous vetting practices, until rigorous vetting replaces raw evidence-free testimony, Project Camelot risks remaining less a beacon of truth than a case study in unchecked conspiracyism. All right, we're going to get to the next part here. We want to take a moment to thank Trolley Troll. Last night on Coast to Coast, they had a guy who talked about the New Jersey Devil, among other things. I lived in Philly when I was a kid, and I never heard of it. I spent summers in Jersey, and the Jersey Devil was a big thing. We've never done a show on the Jersey Devil, mostly because I think it's mostly mythology and not very interesting. But we want to take a moment to thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And I noticed in the comments a lot of people crying about the usual siren. So Billy Troll, who's big show supporter, don't be shy with those super chats. I read every single one of them and share every single one on screen. And we thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support. Butch Cassidy. No, we're talking about Kerry Cassidy. All right, so I'm going to put my fair use banner. And Kerry Cassidy doesn't know what fair use is. She once copyright claimed me for doing this. So I don't know if she's going to continue to do that dumb shit. But we're going to share this video anyway. This is fair use. It's a transformative work. We're educating the public about how fake Kerry Cassidy and her stories is, about how crazy and kooky she is. By the way, she's another person that has superpowers, right? And to have superpowers is not generally somebody that I really trust, especially when all these people claiming to have superpowers, nobody ever seems to actually prove their superpowers are real, right? And I've challenged several of these people, including challenging a super soldier that's a fat pig to get in a boxing ring with me and show everybody what a super soldier he is. None of these people with superpowers ever proves it, right? It's just, trust me, bro. I really do have superpowers, right? She has a Rambo bush full of traps. What? What is that about, right? Rambo bush. We want to thank Buddy Skipper, who just followed the Kick channel. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. Much, much appreciated. All right. If you become a follower on Kick, we give you a big shout out and thank you. So don't be shy. Go over and follow us on our Kick channel. And let's get into it. Now, I've fast forwarded this about 9 minutes, but this is interesting because she's going to be asked a lot of questions about David Wilcock. And first she was saying that David Wilcock wasn't dead, or they killed a clone. I don't really remember the details because there's so many people that are profiting off the tragic suicide of both Amy Eskridge, hey, Michael Salla, you piece of shit, and David Wilcock. It's hard to keep track of all the conspiracy stories. But this gets interesting, and she gets called out a little bit after this timestamp. So we're going to go through this.
The first time they got a big threat was many years ago, and he came on my show and he started crying over the threat that he happened. That was when he was a little bit newer, to the.
Yeah, anybody remember that? David Wilcock called into Kerry Cassidy's so-called radio show at the time, and he was crying that ninja assassins from the Red Dragon Society were breaking into his house and they were going to murder him, as they do, right?
Sector. And it scared him, I guess, a lot. And so he's an emotional guy. He's a very upfront guy. He's not trying to pretend he's somebody else. He's, David was fully David. And
yes,
that's what happened. So what can I say?
That's what I am aware of that interview, and I listened to that, and he's emotional and sensitive. I don't think I said anything wrong in that. Ben Fulford.
No, he was overly emotional and overly sensitive, and everything was a big tragedy.
From week to week, he said one thing and then he said another. So I just want to show you what Ben Fulford said on his channel.
David Wilcock.
I mean, let's be real. What you're showing me are things I've probably already seen, and that you're showing the audience. This is not for my benefit.
She's getting pissed off already. She's 10 minutes into the interview. She starts bitching at the interviewer.
I've done my research.
She does no research. She never does any research. If she did, she knew she was platforming kitty touchers and PDF files and murderers, and wouldn't do that. And what kind of a moron do you have to be to go, all right, this guy's in prison, but he's also saving the universe in the secret space program at the same time he's in prison, right? What does he teleport out of his prison cell, Kerry Cassidy, and go on space adventures? And then he's polite enough. Well, I'll just teleport back into my jail cell. I won't just escape, right? It's so stupid. You got to be a complete and total moron to believe anything this crazy kook lady, Kerry Kook Cassidy, says.
David for, I don't know, 40, 20 years easily. So, I appreciate you want to take the time and show the audience videos. That's great. But don't pretend that I don't know about this.
I don't think I am. I'm showing the audience.
Poor interviewer. He's like, oh man, this girl's going bitch beast mode on me.
I research, and then I have some clips, and I just kind of want to go through what's publicly available.
Yeah, but my reaction, to clips. All right, we'll do this.
She's too good to react to clips, right?
Right.
She's too important.
I did a lot of research. Trust me, it'll go deeper and deeper and deeper. It'll be fun.
My God, I'm so impressed.
Thank you for the condescension. Here's what
holy man said.
According to my sources,
Ben Fulford, I haven't heard from him in ages. This guy's a total wackadoo clown too.
Was killed. He was we used to work together. He helped expose the real reason that John F. Kennedy was assassinated, which was he was trying to take control of the Federal Reserve Board and give it back to the U.S. government, so that
various things in conspiracy land. Oh, he was trying to take control of the UFO file. Other people say he was trying to take control of the Federal Reserve.
The United States could plan to do good things for the planet, whereas the group who assassinated him had this long-term plan to kill 90% of humanity and enslave the rest. And they operate very high-level.
Kerry's laughing at him.
Squads. And my sources, in the CIA tell me this was another hit.
Oh, Benjamin Fulford's got CIA sources that are risking their jobs to tell him that somebody murdered David Wilcock.
So 1 week, Ben says
all the conspiracy land people jumped right in to profit from the tragic suicide.
His sources have told him.
His sources. Tell him to name his sources, you moron. He doesn't have sources. He has imaginary friends, like a lot of you conspiracy land nut jobs.
This is a hit, and then the next week he came out and said
he was
this.
He did have a beautiful young woman and as a wife, and everything seemed to be going great. And I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he was killed or if he was fell into a similar trap they tried on me. I just don't know. But he was trying to work on free energy, and even if he committed,
his work on free energy was gathering stuff from the internet and charging morons $333 to see all this non-working technology that he found on the internet.
Suicide. He was driven into it. That's my belief.
So he says first he has sources in the CIA that said there was a high-level hit. Then he says, I don't know, but he seemed to have everything going with him. He had a wife, but I think he was divorced.
He was.
Yes, and I think that was very distressing that he was divorced. So I'm no stranger to the pokey, Kerry Cassidy. I've been twice. Who's counting? But I know
Oh, imagine that. The guy who's interviewing her has been to jail twice.
how to do a records request. So one of the things Ben said is, I'm not going to believe this was a suicide until I see the body cam footage. And I said, bet, say less. So I went to go get the body cam footage. This is what they said to me.
How morbid is that? You want to see a guy you want to see a guy's last moments? And by the way, people accuse me of that. I have not, and I never will file a request to get the body cam footage, nor will I release it. Some things should be left alone.
Investigatory records are not released as case 26-0788 remains an open death investigation. Open case files are not.
And of course, people that are applying to get the body cam footage that can't get it are turning that itself into a conspiracy. The case is still being investigated. The case isn't closed. Once the case is closed, those records will be public record. But while the case is ongoing, it's not a conspiracy.
Made public in order to preserve integrity of the underlying investigation. They're awaiting the coroner's office to manner and
their channel got nuked.
Now, if they have a footage of him shooting himself, why would they need a coroner to go over that if they have 8 police?
It has to be scientifically proven.
2 police
moron.
witnesses, the footage of that, and like, why would they even need to get the coroner if they have 3 cops watching him shoot himself?
And why did it take the coroner over 48 hours to identify him also?
Because he has to be scientific, you
and this
dummy.
Is a month, so I just imagine this is a month ago. This is May 20th.
I love how all these people who have no idea how the government works. Listen, even if somebody unalives themselves in front of a 100-person audience, and it's very clear that they unalive themselves, the coroner still has to do an autopsy and scientifically determine the cause of death and all these things. These people are acting like there's some big conspiracy here. That's what coroners do, you morons.
Happened 420, right? So how many bodies are in the Boulder Sheriff's Department waiting for coroners to go, they shot himself in the head? That
I'll turn the
I'm
video
like,
up a
now
little
I'm leaning
bit.
towards your side of the case where that completely doesn't make any sense. What is was there any known enemies? Was there infighting other than Dark Cats? Did he have known enemies other than his estranged ex-wife? Was she an active enemy in his life? Do you know?
I think you started the show by talking about a group that were sort of enemies. There's also, I mean, I don't know this part of his life,
and by the
but
way,
I do know that he talked about being threatened a lot.
Yeah, because he was a drama queen and everything was a threat. And by the way, you know, the people placing blame at my feet. So basically, what these people are saying is that if you're a journalist and you investigate and expose somebody's scams, you caused them to unalive themselves. So I guess people were just supposed to let him keep scamming people and not say anything and not do anything and not expose those scams. I just don't get it. I just don't get it, you know?
You know, in the years surrounding what was going on with him at that time. So, you know, I know that he was threatened in the past. I know that I was threatened in the past.
We're talking about David Wilcock, who turned a critic sitting in an audience at Contact in the Desert where he was speaking into bomb threats. They turned that, him and Corey Good turned that into that there was bomb threats and that there was increased police presence and all these things. He exaggerated literally everything and embellished. How is a critic, somebody who is a vocal critic of yours on the internet, sitting in the audience quietly just listening to your speech and making notes? How is that a threat? That's not a threat.
you know, so I mean, this is not surprising. And yes, some people, some people are crazy and they act
Yeah,
on
I
their
made fun of
own.
him.
Other people
Yeah.
are MKO.
Yeah, I'm guilty. I made fun of him for being fat and being bald and being gay. And maybe that wasn't very journalistic of me, but we're talking about a guy who claimed that I was a Satan worshiping PDF file. So, and that's the other thing, is a two-way street. This guy accused me of stealing money out of his bank account, of sending suspicious packages in the mail, of stalking him, of calling the police on him, of getting him. He accused me of all this shit. And we proved 100% conclusively that all of his claims were entirely false, right? But I'm still the bad guy because I exposed scams, right? Tales of the Sonic Voyages is here with $2, saying it's great to see you up and good, brother. Well, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Much, much appreciated. We thank you all for the support. Big support tonight so far. It's the beginning of the month. So let's get those super chats in. Yeah. Praise the cash, bitches.
Ultra, and they're what we call sleeping assassins, and they're set up to do certain things.
And this is another thing that's so stupid. Like, oh, my life is in danger. This is a completely common trope in conspiracy land. Like, as if the government is going to go murder people because they're talking about reptilian alien overlords that control the world, right? Like, does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. TMRS03 with one for the goal, and thank you for that. My father and my uncle called themselves in the coroner, and the coroner checks for foul play to make sure it wasn't a murder. Screw these people. I'm so sorry about your family members. I've had a few, and friends. My best friend's wife decided to do that out of the blue. No warning signs. It's always a tragedy when that happens, but you're correct. Something I didn't think of. The coroner has to check to make sure there's no signs of foul play, because some people stage unaliving events when they want to get rid of somebody. So that's the coroner's job. They have to make sure that they know exactly what happened and why, and also the cause of death has to be scientifically proven. And that's another thing. Even the ID, even if you unalive yourself with your wallet on you, right, and your ID is in your wallet, in your pocket, they still have to scientifically ID you through dental records, through medical records, through DNA. Just having your ID and matching it to your face isn't enough legally. They have to scientifically identify you, and that takes a couple of days, right? But thank you very much, TMT Mrs. 3, I guess that's how you would say that. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And we'll be routinely checking in with the Kick support as well, so don't be shy over there. Send some kicks, send some subs, become a sub, send some gifted subs, and let's get some gifted memberships tonight. But before we do, make sure you smash the subscribe button. It's a huge boost to our channel, and if somebody gives some gifted memberships tonight, you could win one, but you must be a subscriber to our channel here and be in a live chat in order to be eligible. And then YouTube randomly distributes those free gifted memberships. And apparently there's some new StreamYard feature when it comes to gifted memberships. So let's get some gifted memberships, friends. And thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, Team Mrs. 3. All right, let's continue with the Kerry Cassidy.
If not kill somebody, then harass somebody. I have had very, I mean, I had a guy who showed up at what he thought was my apartment with a camera, yelling my name as if I still lived there, which thank God I didn't, because he wanted to out me over the Mark Richards story.
Yeah, he wanted to tell people that you're using a murderer for your fake stories.
And he also, went on stage and started yelling, and they had to throw him out of the conference on this story.
Yeah, because he wanted people to know that guy wasn't a whistleblower. He was a convicted murderer sitting in a jail cell, something that you don't really, you acknowledge, but you don't really tell people that while you're telling all your crazy alien conspiracy stories, Kerry.
So, look, you can't surprise.
And by the way, Kerry is extremely, extremely, extremely jealous of David Wilcock. Because remember, David Wilcock started off with her. Like he would hang around with her and help her interview nutters. And then he became a lot more famous than her, and suddenly she was bitchy about it.
Surprise me with this shit. And all I can tell you is that, yes, we're threatened. Sometimes it's worse than others. Okay.
Yeah, you're threatened.
So
come on.
One
Where's
of
the police
things that we were
report?
texting about is Wano Savin and AKA JFK Jr., AKA Wayne Willett. He said this about.
Yeah, for those unaware, she says that this guy Wano Savin is actually JFK Jr. and that he's not dead. He faked his own death. And this guy looks nothing like JFK Jr., but okay. She's been pushing that conspiracy. And by the way, that's Q-tard adjacent nonsense.
actually, there are two wands. So get it straight. It's on my website.
She's going to correct them. There's two Wano Savins. One of them's JFK Jr.
There's two pictures. You can see the two men are not the same. And they both call themselves 107. Okay. One is Wayne Willett and the other one is actually JFK Jr. But if you don't want to believe that, just believe he's another guy. But there are actually two people.
So,
and maybe even more.
Wano Savin, played by two
Maybe they're clones.
Characters, met David Wilcock a long time ago, and I have that clip, and I think that's. Hopefully, you'll find this one interesting. Oh,
she's
I've already heard it.
She's gonna.
I know you've heard it, but I
want to start yelling at him.
Comment on it. And here it is. Please be nice to me, Kerry Cassidy.
This guy is the guy that she's saying is supposed to be JFK Jr.
I'm trying to be, just to the point. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to clarify.
Real quick before we get to this, because I don't want to.
Oh no, Wano Savin is in shadow.
Entangle
Michael Jace is another Q-tard grifter.
David's situation into the other scientists. The reality is, David was a friend since shortly after he got out of high school.
Wow.
And so I knew David for a very long time. And I'll just be frank, I had tried to tone it down with them several times, and we were good friends. I spent time with him a number of times, and there were some things there that I just felt were not helping on
even other conspiracy land crazies are saying that David Wilcock was crazy.
Certain subject matter and wasn't accurate or correct. And he had tried to intone once or twice that maybe I was in agreement with him. And I said, no, David, not a chance, not on some of these certain things. And even talking with a couple of other close friends of David over the last couple of days, it was interesting. Both of them said the exact same thing. If you look back,
I forgot to start the goal. I'll start it now.
David,
I don't know if the counter's working yet or not. It's been broken.
Place in Boulder, he had a gun on him. He pulled it out and shot himself in the head. That is so sad. This is somebody that I enjoyed his company, didn't agree with on everything, but I'm not the internet police and give room for people to hear what's said, and then people have to weigh out and make their own decisions.
Yep. Use your discernment.
See some of the internet chatter trying to tie him because he talked about things going to space and aliens and what's coming with disclosure.
Two other ancient alien scientists. Nick Pope was not a scientist, neither was David Wilcock, but they keep roping these into this missing scientist conspiracies.
And all sorts of things. And the reality is that there was nothing there that David had that was the reason for taking him out. And he did it by his own hand. It's very sad, but
it's pretty bad when a fake JFK Jr. guy is the voice of reason in conspiracy land.
If you convolute it into these other situations, I think you dilute what these other situations truly are.
Yeah.
And there is very real, bizarre drama. The thing that probably raised it to the top of the charts was the disappearance of this general who
that has nothing to do with David Wilcock.
Wano Savin, played by two characters, claim that he shot himself in the head. There's nothing to see here, but he also mentioned, I knew him since he was 18. That would be 1991.
Not Jude. I said it was Wano Savin. I don't know. There's two guys saying they were the same guy.
David. And it would seem to me if they met him in 1991, they were grooming him to be the mouthpiece of the White Hat Alliance, seeing if they could get young people onto their program of
the white hats and the black hats. QAnon's
fight.
No,
nonsense.
that is a supposition that is wild and has no basis in reality as far as I'm concerned.
So Juan O'Savin said that he met him when he was 18, just coming out of high school.
Well, back in those days, if it's the real 107, JFK
Oh,
Jr., he grew up in New York City. And I guess he was born in what they call Massachusetts, I think it is. And David is also from that part of the East Coast. I'm not sure where David was born.
I
It might
think
be
he's from
Connecticut. It might be
upstate New-
Massachusetts.
I think it's upstate New York, Kerry.
Upstate. Okay. So, they're not that far distant where they wouldn't maybe have had some kind of reason to interact. Although back in those days, if I remember correctly, and I don't have a chronology of David's life, and that's before I was involved. So there's at the Virginia Beach, where the Edgar Cayce Foundation is. That is where David got involved, I guess you might say, first and foremost, in a more upfront fashion.
I love how she's like capitalizing on this guy's tragic death. Like, oh, I knew him, so I'm going to go on 12 podcasts and talk about him.
In sort of this alternative, psychic, whatever you want to
Crazy
call it.
Kerry Cassidy.
So that's what Edgar Cayce was all about. And David felt some kind of affinity and thought he might be him in a prior life.
It's up
So
there in one of those
that's-
states. Yes.
That's where David's head was at
She
back
is
then.
off her
He was
rocker,
not,
yes.
or there was no MAGA back then. The White Hats actually
Project
stayed secret
Scam-A-Lot.
until
We gave a whole
1917,
synopsis at the
I mean,
beginning of the broadcast
2017.
of her
and I was
scammy
involved with the
career.
White Hats in 2010. So
Crackhead
when you're
Carrie.
trying to grab
A lot of
something
people
from
say
the
that.
future and say David was being groomed for it, maybe not. I think it's a real reach. I wouldn't, go
Yeah,
necessarily
that
down
wasn't
that road.
Jude.
and
That
think
was
about
Juan
anything.
O'Savin.
Well, you don't think that JFK Jr., let's say JFK Jr., I mean, he was alive publicly in 1991. You don't think he could have been,
Yeah, another scammer. Imagine
and
that.
his
Yeah.
father and uncle were murdered. You don't think he was looking for people to be trustworthy insiders to
She's off her
perhaps
rocker.
help
Yeah,
him
that
with
goes
this
without saying.
movement to
Sacha.
retake
And
the government?
Um,
If that's what the White Hats
I mean,
are?
not exactly what was going on. Now, he was working with the Secret Service, John, and they did fake his death, and they did know Hillary was going to kill him. In fact, I think she even said so
what? Hillary was
in
going
their
to kill
lunch
him.
meeting in New York City. But all of this was happening completely separate. And as I'm saying, if you look into
The Secret Service helped JFK Jr. fake his own death, according to Kerry Cassidy. And her source for this is she pulled it out of her own asshole.
David's chronology, I think you're going to find that most of the time he spent was affiliated with, her name is Carla, and the group that were associated
Yeah, the
with
Law of One group.
Edgar Cayce and that whole story in Virginia Beach. David, he moved around when he was younger. And again, you'd have to get a whole chronology. I'm not going to follow that out. You don't have to ask me, though. Go ahead and ask 107. You want to go there.
Well, I just thought it was interesting that he knew him all the way back in 1991 before Juan O'Savin.
Well, it is interesting.
Sort of
claimed
there
he
may
did.
be other reasons why he knew him back in the day. I don't remember when John got actually married, but he certainly was spending a great deal of his time in New York City at that
Talk about fantasy land. Oh, this guy Juan O'Savin is JFK Jr. and he faked his death. There's no
Point.
proof of any of this.
Yeah, I mean, John was a pretty high-profile character. To be hanging out with random high school kids in any capacity seems bizarre to me, unless
Well,
they
maybe
were.
he was lying. Who knows? Plus, there's two Juans, and maybe they got it mixed up. They're not perfect, and I've met both of them. And Wayne Willett has blue eyes, and he was, I believe, in the FBI, and that's how he met John, and they both got involved in this whole taking down of Russia.
This whole
And,
thing is
the
so
ruble.
stupid. Like, I don't know. Does this look like JFK Jr. to you? The guy looks like 20 years too old to be JFK Jr., right? It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But, don't expect things like facts or evidence, right? this guy is who Kerry Cassidy is saying is somehow JFK Jr. in disguise. I don't get it.
And they probably got to know each other back then, and maybe some people used to get them mixed up or something. I don't know. I think there was some kind of backstory to how they got to the place where they both wore the same disguise and they were like a tag team. And I have, proof of this, and I have lots of colleagues that know exactly what I'm talking about. Nobody else except me comes forward, but that doesn't
Yeah,
bother
imagine
me.
that.
I mean, they are all hiding. That's fine.
Oh, everybody's
But I have
hiding but
had
her.
So many verifications, aside from John himself, talking to him at length, arguing with him about certain things, so and so, seeing him in person several times, and so on.
You talk
But that's
a lot
a
about
completely different subject. So
She starts crashing out here at the 24-minute mark.
all I can do is,
And by the way, I forgot to put the link to this original video. I'll do it after the broadcast, and it'll be in the description of this video or podcast. And before I forget, let me take a moment also to remind you that yesterday on my birthday, I've been thinking a lot because of this medical stuff about unfinished projects. And I have, I don't know, it's got to be 3 or 4 albums that are recorded and in various stages of actual completion. Some of the songs weren't mixed, some of the songs weren't ready, some of the songs needed some overdubs or whatever. But I happened last week to go through some folders of mostly finished or pretty much finished music, and I put together an album. It's called Transmission. So if you're curious about my songwriting and musical tastes and writing and recording songs, go to our video section. It's a free album. And that is Stop Pausing, Kerry. No, I have to pause it or it's not fair use. But in any case, there's a free album in our video section, so please go and check it out. It costs absolutely nothing. It's a free album, and I'll be releasing another album soon, but that one will actually be, for the first time in many, many years, actually on CD and vinyl. No tapes, though, and no 8-tracks.
I can't tell you the association that John or the other Wayne, whether it was Wayne Willett or John, who actually knew David back in those days. I can't,
but it's a mixed milieu
by any of them.
It's a mixed milieu of the QAnon people and the secret space program.
Yeah, QAnon retards.
High-level government agents kind of, wouldn't they want a leader of the secret space program away from the Project Paperclip characters? Wouldn't they want an American leader of their secret space program?
All of this is speculation.
Maybe reach out to John, who then has some pull.
Now she's going to get pissed.
This might be conjecture.
She's getting pissed.
There is something of the White Hat Alliance before it became QAnon.
Such an egomaniac.
And
She's like, I'm too important. Exactly? This guy's stupid.
What is the shape of
like
that?
I said, well, my exposure began in 2010, I believe, maybe even a year earlier than that. And I was dealing with...
we want to take a moment to thank a kind and generous benefactor, Jacob de Jong of the Netherlands. I always have problems saying that. Jacob de Jong of the Netherlands has been a member for 21 months. That's quite a streak, and thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your big support of the show. 21 months supporting the show. And Jacob de Jong from the Netherlands also gifted 1 True Seekers membership. So remember earlier when I said you got to hit that subscribe button, you could have won that free membership if you are a subscriber, not yet a member of our channel here. Thanks to the kindness, generosity, and support of Jacob de Jong of the Netherlands, 1 person got a free gifted membership today. So be sure to smash that subscribe button, because I'm sure some other kind and generous benefactors will be gifting memberships tonight, and you could win one, but you got to be a subscriber. So smash that subscribe button, huge boost to our channel, and you could win a free True Seekers membership. And by the way, I'm a little bit behind in the members and the Patreon videos. I'm going to be catching up on those things this week. I do have a May show journal and another extra video that will be posted this week. So I apologize. Some things were a little busy this month, including my medical stuff. And we've got Canned Soup 83 with a big gift of 5 Truth Seekers memberships. I keep saying, smash the subscribe button. 6 people tonight now have won a free Truth Seekers channel membership, and you could win one too, but you've got to be a subscriber. So smash that subscribe button. Huge boost to our channel. And thank you, Canned Soup, for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. Much appreciated. That's 5 Truth Seekers gifted memberships. 5 people just became a Truth Seekers member. Thanks to the kindness and generosity and support of Jacob DeJong and Canned Soup. 6 people, I should say. Sorry. So thank you for that. And if you won one, thank the person. It should tell you you've got a free membership from either Jacob DeJong or Canned Soup. Yeah, big ups. Everybody is thanking him for getting those free memberships. Collie wants to be the next Kerry Cassidy. Yeah, she's skanky enough, right? She could do it.
Paladin, who's the white hat who set up the web.
You gotta have a complete and total lack of morality and ethics, right? Collie is I think she's like the leader of the retard Avengers, right?
Site called the White Hat Reports. And he was a forensic financial, or is a forensic financial investigator. He's kind of gone to ground. He's not
It's a high
in the public eye
benchmark
right now. I do occasionally, talk to him on and off. And so that was in 2010. It's a lot closer in time than back in 1991. Now, I'm not saying the White Hats weren't operational. They were actually operational definitely from the death of President Kennedy, and there's evidence that they go back even further than
This
that.
white
And
hat stuff is cutard nonsense.
Are made up of military. Okay, that's primarily how they operated. They decide to operate as a secret society. And when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, or attempted assassination took place, they were definitely sort of galvanized, I guess you might say. And that's when they really put together their plan, as far as I know.
Oh, I can't listen to
Other people could argue with me. That's how I put it together. But it goes back in time to Kennedy's assassination, which is, I forget the actual date of that.
I think 1963.
I'm
not sure.
They don't even know when JFK was
So the shape of
assassinated,
it,
but they're
and,
going to comment on
David
it.
Wilcock, he came on my radar because he wrote a brilliant 90-page book called Financial Tyranny.
Which he plagiarized from the internet. He didn't write it. He just copied and pasted other people's work into that book.
You can still get Financial Tyranny, and it's all about the Marshall Plan post-World War II up into the Kennedy assassination and the different power brokers vying for the future of humanity. Brilliant stuff.
That wasn't that brilliant.
So I just
brilliant stuff that he copied and pasted from other people's work on the internet. Great.
Want to talk?
Well, I know that David's brilliant, but let me just say that information came to him by some of our whistleblowers. I happen to know that for a fact. And
She's
also,
getting pissed. That was my information that he stole and put in a book.
People associated with the Bank of International Settlements and various other people. So he didn't make that shit up. He just
copied and pasted it. Yeah, he copied and pasted it.
Put it together in a book, which is great.
Like Karen Hudis type characters and people like that.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
They were the whistleblowers.
Mm-hmm. But that's still a skill to take random pieces of information and to coalesce it into a digestible.
I said he's brilliant, and he did make it into a book, but I just wanted to be clear that he didn't make it up. He got it from whistleblowers.
Yes.
And I was involved back in those days, so I know and I remember all of that.
So I'm saying I'm a fan of that.
So knowledgeable.
Great. Wonderful.
Okay. Be nice to me.
Red Hat Linux.
I'm being nice. What can I do?
I ran Red Hat
agreeing
for a
with
while.
you. I'm just
I started with Red Hat Linux.
I just think it's important, since I have the history and you're a person who wants to know the history, that you had me on your show for a purpose, I assume. So you want my feedback. So I'm giving it to you. There's nothing about niceness or not niceness. It's just the information that I have.
He's like, this interviewer is like, why are you being a cunt? Why are you being so mean to me? I'm agreeing with you.
But, when I say it, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm just telling
I know.
because you're making statements that are not based on having the history behind you.
They're going to
You're
run out of
making general
whistles.
statements,
Yeah.
how brilliant a certain book is when it's based on the testimonies of other people. So I just think it's important to say that.
Yeah, and
We're watching the crash out now. It's fine.
When
Yes,
he got other people involved that were feeding him bad information, he coalesced bad information, and it led to
and
his
it's
Bruce.
brilliant
demise
and lovely, and he's a wonderful writer.
Financial tyranny. Anyway, so this my
gonna get more
friend I was
pissed.
chatting with earlier.
She's a
today,
cunt
guy called
alert.
Chris
Yes.
Knowles of the Secret Sun podcast. He said something. I have a couple clips of him on the Higher Side chats talking about David Wilcock's death, and I thought this is a interesting clip to show. This is only audio, and here we go.
Okay. I just think that there is this very powerful, very influential cult within companies like Lockheed, Raytheon, certainly within naval
Boy, this guy's going the full conspiracy.
intelligence, that has this set belief, this expectation. Okay. And again, this is very well documented. This is not theory. This is not conjecture. This is something you can go back and look at.
I love too how the people are like, "Oh, David Wilcock was murdered because he was working on free energy and anti-gravity." No, he ran a free energy anti-gravity scam. He wasn't working on anything. He had nothing that worked.
On the board of advisors and the board of governors of NICAP, for instance, in the 50s.
Give this bitch a Snickers.
A space cult that goes back to the 50s. That's
Well,
what he
maybe you
calls it.
never read the Richard C.
Matt Daddy's
Hoagland
a
book,
big fan of hers.
The Magicians, all about the magicians of NASA.
So explain. So where I understand that's what I was getting at earlier, like with my point of 1991.
Yes, he was.
That if there's this milieu of a secret space program and a space cult coming out of naval intelligence and Lockheed Martin and this kind of thing, that's an active group. And how organized are they is the questionable part. And when do they coalesce and when do they get a leader? But it seems like they're very secret, the secret space program going through.
They're not very secret.
So, but is it a cult? Is it a religion? Because they seem to have this religion of...
Maybe you need to read the book Sex and Rockets by Jack Parsons, because Aleister Crowley, Jack Parsons, they were involved in Scientology. And yes, you could call them a cult if you like.
Why does that happen where scientists
No,
and
she's
serious
a
engineers
famous
find themselves
fake
in a space
disclosure
cult
girl
worried about
that uses
EWAS
criminals to
and
tell alien
entities
stories.
that they can channel?
She might actually yell at clouds.
Well, I mean, it's all
She yells
part
at
of
dogs
the
all
world
day.
we live in. Scientists are not impervious to being influenced.
Yeah, he couldn't even change the battery of a smoke
the secret
detector.
space program.
I don't think
has
that
so
guy's
many
inventing
secrets
anti-gravity and free
that
energy.
It's kind of insane. So yes, they are very involved in the occult. And again, there's two primary books that you can read that I recommend: is Sex and Rockets by Jack
Well, I
Parsons.
guess you never saw the
And
Avengers.
he was the name
Captain
Dave
America
Hill was
movies.
actually in Jack Parson Lab.
It's basically a documentary.
And I worked there. Hello. And also then the other book, which is Richard C. Hoagland's,
Show
I
us the
forget the
tiny
exact
pencil.
title, but it's all about the magicians.
They're not criminals
of
off
NASA.
world. Yeah, they get a pardon once they're in the secret
Gotcha.
space program.
Getting back down to earth, to this David's death. What happened? There was a Beyond Mystic podcast.
Yeah,
There's a
Jack
round
Parsons.
table.
One guy.
2 hours.
He was a
2 hours
weirdo
long.
occultist.
I'm just
yeah.
going to share one clip that's two minutes long. I thought this was interesting. Mr. Cliff High had something to
She's
say.
a big fan of
He was
Cliff
not
High.
very flattering to you. I will warn you, but this is what Mr. Cliff High said.
I've already heard it and I've written about it and been on shows about it. But yes, go ahead.
Can I play this for
She's
you?
crashing out.
Yes, can I tell you if I've seen it or not already? Is that all right?
Sure, you can.
I'm
I
not going to
worked
sit here
there.
and shut up because you want me to shut up and listen to you. I mean, I didn't come on your show to listen to you. I'm happy to hear you. I'm happy to see these clips I've
He's
already
dumb enough
seen.
to not know who
And
I
you want to
am,
talk
too.
about that stuff. But
I can
the
have a great
bottom
interview.
line is I lived it. Okay. So I've lived all of this stuff. So I know a huge amount I suggest you ask me questions. But let's look at this clip where, Cliff High insults me. And
yes, he
so
does.
so,
He says
well,
you're a kooky, crazy bitch.
he does that all the time, by the way, not just in that show.
Okay. Here we go.
Yes, she is crashing out.
With Corey, and he knew I'd been fighting with Corey, and he also knew that I kicked Corey's ass in the lawsuit, right, and his attorney. So anyway, I contacted David last year on June 5th, day before I moved here, and he took my phone call. Okay, but he was not receptive. All right, his mind was in a terrible state even then, and his authority for everything.
Grifter fight, I love
even
it.
after all the abuse he had
Yes.
suffered, his authority for everything was Corey Good. So I offered him a plan to save himself, save his reputation, and get him out of the situation he was spiraling into. He didn't listen to all of it. As soon as he got the first,
He
as soon as
sure
I got the
does.
first couple sentences out about how I was thinking,
He
should
seems
do
like
it,
a harmless kook.
he realized Corey Good could not do this, and it was going to be a no go. He couldn't basically get out from underneath Corey Good, right? Now we come to the unfortunate end of this situation when David's mind lost its grip on reality, and he committed suicide. And now my reason for speaking on this is, I'm not eulogizing him or anything. Some of the things I will say about him are likely going to be somewhat harsh. They're just a realistic appraisal, but it needs to be said. The reason it does
Good
is
point,
because we have the
Dr.
lurkers. We have
Gusica.
Corey Good trying to make things out of his death that are not factual and to promote his grift again. And we have Kerry Cassidy.
Yeah,
who
me
doesn't
too.
think very well, also promoting
Surgery went well.
an erroneous
I'm good.
idea about David's death. So just dealing with Kerry Cassidy's idea, she says that David is a scientist for Savati Aerospace Company. Savati Aerospace Company is a Ponzi scheme. They took David Wilcock for over $1 million and probably much closer to $2 million. They disappeared all that money into their founders, and he was left with nothing except a nominal title and feeling like an idiot. And after
He's
a
a
while,
smart guy, even though he's kooky.
and
Yeah.
trying to think that there was going to be a rescue, right? And he does not understand business. You can tell that he was operating in a fantasy world the way he talked about what would happen when Savati got this money coming in. And he just
For
doesn't
years.
understand
The
real
money's
world
coming
at all,
next
and
week.
He was extremely impractical, and it was never going to happen. So he was doomed to this. So to address Kerry Cassidy, David Wilcock is not a scientist. He's not a critical thinker. He's never done science. He's a good presenter. Okay.
So what's your
She's pissed.
reaction to Cliff High? He says he's not a scientist, and he says
He's
Listen
a
to what she
liar,
says.
and I substantiated all of that. David has been writing about science forever. He's been meeting with scientists. He's been talking to free energy, scientists and secret witnesses in the secret space program, just like I have. His ability to
So does that make you a scientist then, Kerry? It's a science degree. And published scientific papers make you a scientist. Writing about science makes you a writer, not a scientist, Kerry.
write about science makes him a scientist in and of itself.
Oh, he wrote about science, so that makes him a scientist.
But yes, he was now putting his money where his mouth was, and he invested, if I understand it correctly, something like $1 million
Some people say 2 million, Kerry, and he never got a dime of his money back.
in Savati, however you say that name. And Savati has not disappeared. Actually, it's still out there.
Yes, and for 30 years, Kerry Cassidy, you fucking moron, they haven't produced a single airplane product or service. How is an aerospace company a real company when for 30 years all they've done is collected investor money and never actually manufactured, produced, or sold anything in their own sector, aerospace?
And they have gotten other money incoming, and they also build, I don't know what you call it, airplanes.
No, they say they want to build airplanes, but they've never actually built an airplane, Kerry. See, this is it. She does no research. She doesn't even know what she's talking about. She's so ego-driven and, like, oh, I know all about this. You don't even know the company never produced anything, and you're defending David being a scientist for this fake Ponzi scheme company. Do you know that somebody that gave them $1 million sued them and said in the court documents that they're a Ponzi scheme and an investment scam, and that person felt they scammed him out of his money? In that case, $1 million.
Very sophisticated airplanes. So they weren't a Ponzi scheme. Actually, on the contrary, I did a lot of investigation into them.
Oh, she investigated them. Did you read the fucking court documents, you stupid moron girl? Did you even read the court documents? If you investigated them, you should have read the court documents. Right in the court documents, the plaintiff who sued them calls them an investment scheme and a Ponzi scheme. And the CEO of Stevati filed a response where he basically admitted they're a Ponzi scheme by saying, well, we were waiting for new investor money to pay off the old investors. That's the textbook definition of a Ponzi scheme. Kerry, are you retarded? Are you an idiot? Are you stupid? You don't know what a Ponzi scheme is? They admitted to it in the court documents.
Now, the CEO was interviewed by David, and you can watch that interview so you can see the rapport. He obviously got very involved they had a compatibility between them and an interest in outing free energy. And whenever you do that, and I've watched this over the years because I've been in the same worlds, you get attacked. And that's inevitable.
Well, the attack that she's claiming is people exposing David Wilcock's free energy and hover car scam for the scam that it was. He charged people $333, Kerry, and he told everybody, if you just take my course, you'll be able to do it too. Free energy and anti-gravity. Guess how many people who gave him the $333 were able to create either free energy or anti-gravity? No one. No one.
The deep state will attack you. The secret space program, loonies, the dark side of it will attack you. And in many cases,
is there a bright side to the secret space program, loonies? I'm confused.
They've been killed outright. Free energy activists and scientists have been killed across the board.
There's no truth to that. There's no
for
there's
years.
Conspiracies and rumors. There's no
going
truth.
On probably
no
50,
evidence
60,
to that.
maybe even 80 years, which is how long the secrecy has gone on. So,
oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but
I almost missed that. Katie Death Squad with one for the goal. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. Much, much appreciated. One for the goal. And let's check. Oh, the goal counter finally started working. I shouldn't have forgotten to start it early today. Katie Death Squad with one for the goal. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for the support. And Katie Death Squad says, she sounds like a wine mom who lost her kids' Adderall medication. A lot of people say that she's a big drinker. I don't know if that's the case, but it could explain a lot of things, right? But she said she did a lot of research, Katie Death Squad, into Stevati, and they're not a scam. All right. Well, explain that to the investors. Explain that to David Wilcock, who gave millions of dollars to that company, never got a dime back. Explain it to Dmitriev, the guy who sued them, who gave them $1 million, never got a dime back.
He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And you can quote me.
I don't have access to him. I tried to get him on years earlier, and he doesn't respond to me. And
by the way, he put David down for years before he tried to supposedly offer him help.
But he actually offered him help. Did you?
Do you seriously think that if Cliff I tried to help me, I would take it? He's been bad-mouthing me for years. I know exactly how David felt. And he didn't have to be out of his mind to reject Cliff's altruistic help at a time when Cliff clearly thought he was crazy. I mean, listen to the person who is actually trying to give you some rundown on David when he didn't know him, and he badmouthed him whenever
he knew him well enough that David took his calls.
He could. I mean, this is not
David Wilcock wouldn't take my calls, just for the record.
Logical. Okay. So if you look at David's perspective, just like if you look at mine, we don't see Cliff High as a colleague. Okay. I certainly don't. And with good reason.
You mean because he's not a good enough scammer? Is that what you mean?
On you that you wouldn't want to take their advice about your personal life or your business dealings. I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. What I'm worried about is after
she knew him
and then he
10, 20 years ago
in Stevati Energy, and they're not like paying dividends like Apple or Google stock would. Was he cutting his finances a little too close to the bone when he started dealing with these?
Yeah.
I think he really fell in love with the whole concept, and he probably did go overboard in giving them too much money. But so shoot us. I mean, you made a bad investment, or maybe it was a great investment. Maybe it would pay off in the future. Again, free energy is a calculated risk, or maybe an uncalculated risk. So anytime you get involved with that, I have whistleblowers who've been killed over it. Brian
You got the
O'Leary
scoop.
is a NASA, he was an astronaut. He was a candidate that was supposed to go to Mars. They erased his records at Caltech. He'd been teaching there for years. He had to
That's
leave the
not
United
true.
States because they put a hit out on him.
That's
He
not
moved to
true.
Vilcabamba to hide out, and then they gave him a fast-acting cancer. He died within 1 year.
Yeah, that's
He's
not true.
on our, actually, I just re-released it.
That's another person. You know, people get cancer, Kerry. It doesn't mean the government gave them the cancer. There's so many different people that have died of cancer that people like Kerry say, oh no, the government injected them with some fast-acting cancer to kill them. Come on.
He's on our pilot episode for our Mars True TV series that was supposed to happen, which they shut down because my producer wouldn't do what they said, and they were the CIA, and they wanted to run it. So, you know, I've been in this world
Maybe
for
he did
so
give them
long,
too
and
much
you want
money,
to tell
yeah.
me that it's surprising that, you know, look, Cliff High, if you really want to know what I think about Cliff High,
Oh,
I think
tell
he's
us.
being paid by the deep state
Oh,
to
there you go.
badmouth me
There you
and
go.
a few other people.
Anybody that badmouths these conspiracy people, they're deep state agents. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm being funded by a Mossad agent. I got to check in with him because apparently I haven't been getting or cashing his checks. You know, there's retarded people saying I'm funded by some deep state Mossad CIA guy, who, by the way, his name is Gabe Hoffman. I've never spoken to him. I don't know how I'm getting funded then, but okay.
Okay. I don't think he knows what he's talking about half the time. And I think he's highly jealous of me. He's like losing his mind over being jealous over me. And he's been doing this for years. I think he's psychotic, frankly. But that's just my opinion. I don't think I can get sued for that. I can have an opinion. You're asking me, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, I think that you're psychotic and crazy. And since you already said I can't get sued over that, because that's just opinion, I'm just going to put it out there. My opinion is that crazy Kerry Cassidy is crazy. She's literally lives in a delusional fantasy world where she's important. She's not.
He does tell some hero stories about working at Microsoft for Bill Gates, and that's why he enjoys his lifestyle. And then, you know, he was all in on the 2012 stuff, and then didn't really post when the synchronicity happened. He didn't really post any, you know, oh, I messed
Yeah,
up.
you
I
are
was wrong
psychotic,
about that
Kerry.
kind of thing. You know, with his website Half Past Human.
He was a
He
hot.
was making
Yeah, he
very
was
bold
a
predictions
hedge
that
fund
didn't-
manager.
that
yeah.
didn't pan out, and then he wasn't like, he didn't say a sentence about, you know, I kind of screwed the pooch on those predictions. Not a sentence.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're sitting here talking
uh,
about David Wilcock. David Wilcock predicted a worldwide ascension event 3 times, and he never commented on his bad predictions, right? We have AZ0AZ getting a free super chat for being a member for 1 month, and thank you for that. Kerry is the most pleasant and sane person out there. I don't know if you're paying attention though, AZ, but okay, if you say so. I don't think she's very pleasant at all. I don't think she's pleasant at all. She's nasty. Every time I see her in an interview, she's nasty to people, right? I've never seen her be kind in an interview. She's always like condescending and correcting people and telling everybody how important she is.
you know,
Surprise, surprise.
a little bit of narcissism there, but that doesn't mean a broken clock's not right twice a day. You know, he did say that he would look. We were saying earlier about that financial tyranny book was brilliant, but it was coalesced by other
Stolen.
researchers, including Karen Hudis and people of the like.
Yeah, he just stole
Now,
everybody else's
I
research.
kind of think
Copied and
I'm
pasted
more
it.
on
Yeah.
the side that he was a journalist and an author and a coalescer and a presenter of other people's material. Like, and he got a little over his skis financially with the Savati Technologies or whatever. And that adds to my thing that he was under a lot of duress.
Yeah.
Which
He was-
And his scams were getting exposed left and right. One of the things I noticed is that all these conspiracy land people who have done shows on David Wilcock, they don't talk about our work here or how we were making it virtually impossible for David Wilcock to continue scamming his audience. You know, and I've gotten a lot of flack over that, but you know, at the end of the day, if you're scamming people, maybe you should just stop scamming people, not attack the people who keep exposing the scams, right? But FF9000 sent 50 kicks. We want to thank FF9000 who sent some kicks on Kick. We love Kick money because we get to keep most of it. Thank you, FF9000. And we've also got Winter Soldier who sent 10 kicks. So thank you for that. Much, much appreciated. 10 kicks from Winter Soldier. And we've got Buddy Skipper just followed the Kick channel. So thank you for that. If you become a Kick follower during a live broadcast, we'll give you a big shout out and thank you. So don't be shy. Go over to kick.com/Truth Seeker Show. Hit that follow button. I'll get a notification and give you a big shout out and thank you. And thanks to everybody following the Kick channel so far.
He didn't just invest in that company. He also had a title, which was head of new technology.
It's Director of Advanced Technology. A guy who couldn't change a smoke detector battery became the Director of Advanced Technology for an apparent advanced aerospace company. Nothing wrong with that, right? The guy couldn't change a smoke detector battery, but somehow he's developing advanced technology. And he couldn't work a computer either, which is pretty interesting, but he's going to develop advanced technology.
Recall. He was a scientist. I don't care what you say. I know he was a scientist.
David Wilcock was a scientist. I don't care what you say. He was a scientist. Well, I mean, he did have a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology, but that doesn't make him a scientist.
So he was.
So for what it's worth, if you want to agree with Cliff High, go right ahead.
I agree with Cliff High.
We don't really have to prolong it, do we?
He wasn't a scientist.
You said
You're a moron, lady.
I say he is. What do you want to do?
I'm just putting my case out there, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for you, Miss Kerry Cassidy. That's why you're on here, and you will.
Glaze her a little bit. Maybe she'll stop yelling at you and being nasty.
You will know what I'm talking about firsthand. So, more on Corey Good, if we could.
Yes, she co-signs that Corey Good is telling the truth.
From Chris Knowles of the Secret
Okay, but let me say to start
Yes.
out with, I'm not going to give you a reaction to Corey Good because he tried to sue me in the past, and I'm aware that he has this proclivity.
Okay.
Yeah, he likes to sue people, so she's not going to comment on Corey Good.
Well, this is Chris.
But she's still co-signing his bullshit, batshit space claims, saying that he really was telling the truth. He had a lie in that court case.
Knowles talking on the higher side chats. This is just freedom of speech in America. This is what he said.
Whatever.
And the whole Corey Good thing is another thing. I know you want to get into that in a bit, but not surprising when you read the fact that he seemed to have this weird codependency with sociopathic personalities from a very early age, which I think came from his mother, to be quite frank.
Did he was he a bit of a follower, David Wilcock, and latch on to
crazy people?
Was he codependent towards narcissists, do you feel?
No, but he was a very good researcher, and
Yeah.
he would interview somebody not just for the public, but behind the scenes.
Yeah, he was such a great researcher that he didn't know that Dr. Pete Peterson was a fraud, which, by the way, Dr. Pete Peterson came from Kerry Cassidy and Project Scam-A-Lot. That's where David's #1 government insider came from. A fake doctor with a fake resume, with fake claimed business accomplishments that he never had, with a fake education. And, you know, Kerry Cassidy saying that somebody was a good researcher. A good researcher would know that somebody was a fake doctor with a fake education and fake college degrees, you moron, Kerry Cassidy. The DJD's with one big one for the goal. It's great to see you back, Stephen. Happy birthday and much love to you and your family. Well, thank you. I had an amazing birthday. I went to finally see Mandalorian and Grogu. And the quick review of that is I enjoyed the movie very much. But the one criticism I have is that everything in the movie, the backgrounds, the characters, except for Mandalorian and Grogu and Sigourney Weaver and one scene with a bunch of X-Fighter pilots that were human, everything in the movie was CGI. DJDs, everything. The monsters, the aliens, everything was CGI. And it's like, I thought they were trying to get away from all that CGI, especially Jon Favreau. So I expected a little more real creature effects and aliens and things that weren't just CGI'd out the wazoo. But I get it. That's just the way filmmaking is going. I try to just not think about everything in the whole movie. It looked like that it was like Mandalorian and Grogu filmed on a green screen, and then they just filled in the blanks, the backgrounds, the creatures, the models. It was all very CGI. It looked to me like a CGI cartoon, much more than the TV series. I don't know if they did different filming methods or what, but thank you, DJDs, for your kindness, generosity, and support. I'll get off my soapbox. My son loved the movie, and we had a very nice time, made a nice memory. We both loved the TV show, so it was fun to take him to the movie. He wanted to see it for a while. He was very excited, and then he kind of forgot that they released it. So, but the other thing I'll say is, God damn, these people in the movie industry wonder why people stop going to the movies. It was $50 just for tickets for me and my son. And I get it, it's IMAX, right? So the IMAX tickets are more expensive. I'm like, $50 to see one movie for two people? And then, of course, $12 for popcorn and $12 for a soda, right? $75 to go to the movie. And they wonder why people stop going. I'm told there's a discount theater around here. We're going to check that out. You know, like a second run.
And one of the influences that I think was big on him was Pete Peterson. And
yeah, the fake Pete Peterson, who was completely and totally fake. And Kerry has never acknowledged this, but we exposed here that Kerry Cassidy and David Wilcock's big source, Pete Peterson, was a fake doctor with completely fake educational credentials, fake college degrees, and a fake work history, who ran pump and dump penny stock scams. He was a pump and dump stock scammer.
I'm sure that he got a lot of material for his books in part from Pete. Okay, because Pete was a deep scientist into all.
He wasn't a scientist, Kerry Cassidy. You're a moron. He never went to college.
All kinds of things for the secret space
Look, this guy's drinking beer during the interview. I guess if I had an interview, I'd be drinking too.
program, and was in it for like over 40 years of his life. So I'm sure he had a lot to share.
He was a fake scientist with a fake education, you moron, Kerry Cassidy. Why didn't you ever tell your audience that he never went to the colleges he claimed? Why didn't you tell your audience that his fake company, Cyberdyne Systems, came from the movie Terminator and he never actually had a company called that? He never did any of the things that he claimed. He claimed he won the Order of Lenin Award from the Soviet Union. There's a list of people who won that award. He's not on the list, you moron. Pete Peterson was a complete and total fraud. Why don't you acknowledge that?
And he was also.
Oh, and she's such a great researcher. She did a lot of investigation. She just forgot to tell her audience that his college degrees were fake. His work history was fake. His claims of being an early computer pioneer, that was all fake.
Also a charming man. They killed his wife. And as far as I'm concerned, they gave him an early death as well.
Oh, yeah. He died of natural causes in a nursing home, and nobody killed his wife. His girlfriend wasn't his wife. She died of natural causes also. And just like David Wilcock, Kerry Cassidy turns every death around her into a conspiracy because she's a moron. And I'm really starting to think Kerry Cassidy might be at least half retarded. I really think that.
Pete Peterson.
Yes.
How did Pete Peterson die? One of those fast acting cancers?
I don't remember how he died, actually.
He died in a nursing home of natural causes, you
Do you remember
moron.
what happened to his wife? She was shot, or that you said they killed her? What? His wife?
Yeah, I think they killed her. No, I don't remember.
I don't even remember. I'm just going to spout nonsense.
There's this guy called Don Elkins that David Wilcock
at
had
least
a lot
half
of affinity for. He was a pilot who had an untimely death. So Chris Knowles made a very interesting comparison to the death of David Wilcock to the death
Lost
of
10
a
pounds.
character called Don
for you.
Elkins. And I just want to play Chris's research. Again, I've been in touch with him earlier today.
Yeah, we need
so
to
I just wanna play
appreciate his skill
this.
for fakeness and grifting.
And some have speculated that it was out of jealousy, this whole love triangle that had imposed itself on his life.
He's talking about Don Elkins's life in his final days.
And he had, towards the end of his life in 1984, had
Yeah, apparently.
engaged in a 5-hour standoff with sheriff's deputies, and it ended with him shooting himself. And when you look at how David,
you fade away into the
according to the police reports, let's just say, I don't want to have to sit there and get involved in these debates. Yeah, I'm just telling you what the police reports say and so on. The way he had set this up sounds
a lot like
uncannily similar
Yeah.
to Don Elkins's final day, the standoff with police. Now, I don't know if David lost his.
Don Elkins was involved with the Law of One, and he basically called the cops. And then when the cops arrived, he unalived himself, exactly like David's situation.
Nerve or so on. But he was promoting the Law of One up until his death. But the fact that David had, according to the police reports, apparently tried to recreate, the final exit of his hero, Don Elkins, is very strange and suspicious to me.
I don't think it's that strange or that suspicious.
Was he taken with Don Elkins in the Law of One
Personally,
stuff?
no, I don't think he was his hero, to be honest. And I think that Don Elkins had psychological problems, and they had nothing to do with the kind of problems David had. I can say that if you get yourself shot in front of cops, that's very much William Cooper. That's what happened to William Cooper.
Yeah, death by
And he's one of the most famous whistleblowers out there ever.
unaliving by cop.
I don't think Elkins was very famous. He was involved with the Carla, Virginia Beach, Edgar Casey group.
She keeps
that
saying
were
Edgar
trying to
Casey.
download
No,
information from
that was the Law of One people.
Seth, I think, or whoever they called him. So I forget what they call him. But anyway, Raw. Does he go by the name Raw? Anyway, I read those books quite a long time ago. But yeah, the Law of One I found actually does avoid telling you the truth about aliens. So I stopped getting into that. David loved it, however.
They're just
Yeah, he was a big
channeling.
fan of the
Can you
Law
hear
of
me?
One.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Big fan of
Did you
the
say
Law of
something I
One.
didn't hear?
No, it just said my Zoom said my internet's unstable. I just want to make sure we didn't lose connection. All right, so the Law of One people, David was really into channeling for information. I think it's just there's a big divide.
In other words,
my head
nonsense.
between science and technology and Francis Bacon and channeling and thinking that you're in communication with entities for information.
I guess you don't know who Maria Orsich is that brought in the
Yeah, Maria Orsich is fictional. She never existed, according to real history. It was a fictional, made-up, psychic Nazi girl.
technology to the Nazis by way of the Aldebaran group.
I've seen
That was
stuff on that.
channeling. That's channeling. Okay. So you do get, and actually I would say that Tesla would probably agree that he got information from the stars.
Oh,
He tried to
God.
build a phone to the stars and said the most important communication we can do is to communicate with the stars. If you want to call that channeling, go right ahead, but it's not always channeling. Ashiana Dean, whose books I highly recommend about the real history of humanity, called the Voyager books 1 and 2.
remember
They're on the
we-
front page of my website.
We played
She
that
downloaded
interview.
from what's called the Guardian Races.
She downloaded. In other words, she made it all up.
And it's a history of humanity that goes far beyond the Bible. So I wouldn't put down channeling quite yet. I think you're not maybe knowledgeable about the kind of information that does come through other beings in other places, in other planets, and so on and so forth, into the earth.
I can speak
Oof.
to when I've been writing screenplays and doing stand-up comedy. When I have a girlfriend and a sexy muse, then I do feel like more inspired. I can say that.
If he has a sexy
that's
girlfriend
kind
while
of,
he's writing, he's inspired.
meat and potatoes kind of character, Kerry Cassidy.
Yeah, well, you must know enough about Nazi history to know that that's where
Yeah,
the
everybody hit that
information
like
came
button.
from.
Help us in the
Maria
algorithm.
Orsich. There's a great deal of information about how the technology
That
came
interview
through
was
her
painful.
and a
Yeah.
group of women. Okay. And if you're not
She's a
familiar with
female
that history, I
DSP.
suggest you become
She doesn't
familiar
beg
with that
very much,
history.
though. People
other-
just give
That's
her money.
technology. That's pure evidence of technology being downloaded through channeling, call it what you will, to women who then communicated with Hitler and the whole thing, and got the Foo Fighters happening, and got the
Sexy
all the
alien
technology that came
girlfriends.
over
Yes.
with these NASA scientists.
We all need
And the
sexy
building
alien
of UFOs,
bitches,
the
right?
reverse
Get you more
engineering,
sexy alien
you know,
bitches.
the honey boo and all this kind of thing. You know, it's all technology. So it's the most naive statement ever to say that you don't think there's a connection between channeling and technology when there's a huge history of it.
Yeah, she read some
I've
books, so she
also
knows.
lied to women. I've said, hey, thank you. Maybe Werner von Braun was, designing a little spaceship, and then, he made.
Oh, thank you, Felton
some
enthusiast.
character, and then he
It's a free
You don't
album.
know your
Go
Nazi
listen to it.
history, obviously. Just say you don't know. So that's
I don't
fine.
know. I'm trying to have fun.
Yeah, I understand. No, not everyone does,
He didn't know history.
but it's
sis.
out there.
I don't know.
This dumb
I know that
bitch.
I've seen that story before.
This dumb bitch is talking about a fictional character called Maria Orsic who never really existed. And she's telling the interviewer that he doesn't understand Nazi history. He hasn't done enough research. Amber Gedden is here with one for the goal. Stuck at work. Happy birthday again, Stephen. Thank you. She really needs to lay off the sauce. Suffolk Carrie. Yeah. Well, thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your big support of the show. Amber Gedden is a big show supporter. I hope you get out of work soon. And but thank you for coming to visit us. Much appreciated. And let's continue. Are we going to go through this whole thing? Maybe we will. Another 30 minutes. It's pretty
is it possible
awkward,
that,
this whole interview. She's just bitching at him through the whole.
I believe L. Ron Hubbard was friends with Aleister Crowley, and he was read into the secret space program, whatever iteration it was, when he was in naval intelligence back in the day.
Sure.
And then he started to write his own fan fiction. He started to write his own bullshit. And his goal was
She has a
to
Gestapo uniform in her
kind
closet.
of threaten the space cult and naval intelligence.
Yeah. How
which he
dare you
dabbled
not
in.
understand
and also
my
he wanted
lies?
to take in suckers and take their money. I think L. Ron Hubbard was a complete psychopath that wrote his own, bolstered his own. I've been to a Scientology.
You are
museum
correct,
before,
Fats.
and they have his
real
diplomas,
maidens or
like,
fictional witches from
just
Femdon
walls,
Romanticy
breaking over
book.
walls,
That's
breaking,
true.
just
It's fiction.
unloading all of his diplomas and his advanced degrees from he was the greatest mountaineer in the world, he was the greatest lover in the world, he was the greatest nuclear physicist in the world, he was the greatest this in the world. It's kind of fun to go to Scientology as a.
She's been cranky the whole time.
Actually, I can't stand Scientology, but I will say that L. Ron Hubbard was right about aliens and the invasion of aliens and having something to do with our being, genetically re-engineered.
Her boyfriend, Bill Ryan, I don't know if they were married or I think he was just her boyfriend and they lived together. He's a big Scientology guy. So maybe that's where the sore spot about she doesn't like Scientology, because he was giving Scientology an awful lot of money while they were together. Who knows?
He's talking to some degree about the times of the Anunnaki. And he did write fiction books, which I've never read, but I have
He has a
friends who have been in
sexless life and she hates men.
Scientology, and Hal Puthoff and many of the scientists that are actually front and center on top. Hal Puthoff, in case you don't know him, is a top physicist, well respected. He's out there right now talking about aliens.
He's not a physicist,
And,
you moron.
these people consider themselves at one time Scientologists. So as I say, I also was very involved in with my first partner called Bill Ryan, and he was a Scientologist.
Oh,
he
see?
wasn't the same kind of Scientologist as the regular ones. He was in this Ron's org thing. But one of the reasons we split up was over that. I don't like Scientology. I have issues with it, but there's some excellent information in how it was involved with the CIA and with the, secrets that, especially the taking down of Nixon, which was basically a Scientology plot, from what I understand, that L. Ron Hubbard was involved with. And there's a whole book that was written that don't know if I can remember the name of it, by this very excellent
Oh, there's a
author
book. I don't even know what it's
that I
called.
read a while ago, which
read
is
it a
all
while
about
ago,
that in
yeah.
case you're interested. So there's a lot of permutations. A lot of people that are scientists strangely got very involved in Scientology all those years back.
Yes, they're
A
morons, in other
space
words.
So this
cult.
is not
That's
odd.
where the space cultists can have a refuge.
Perhaps one of the ways.
This is my point on this. And if you can't mention it because you're worried about lawsuits, I think I looked at Corey Good's LinkedIn, and he made his own fan fiction. He was in the Texas State Guard. Before that, he was a software engineer for small banks.
He wasn't a software engineer. He was an IT guy, the kind of guy that gets you a new keyboard when you spill coffee on it. He wasn't a software engineer.
I got that information
Not that I'm aware of.
from his own LinkedIn. And I think Corey and David had pressure on them to keep topping their last episode on Gaia. They became very famous on Gaia. And then it's like, well, what about just like I'm sure South Park, they're always racking their brain. How do they top the last season? So then they started writing their own fan fiction, and the little things of truth they had to stretch over multiple seasons of that show to keep.
Oh yeah, we wrote fan fiction, but it was totally true.
Their income. I think this is an interesting thing that again, Chris Knowles said on the Higher Side Chats, and I'm going to play that for you.
To be quite frank, when I was reading David Wilcock's autobiography, quasi statement of faith, The Ascension Mysteries, it became very clear to me and blatantly, painfully obvious in the text itself, where he'll talk about these personal traumas that he experienced, and then he'll just start going on about the Space Brothers and all the rest of it. It became painfully obvious that all these weird beliefs that he had latched onto were a way of him coping with his much more insidious and intractable personal, emotional, traumatic issues.
So he had some personal issues that he sought escape in the Space Brothers.
You know,
And-
getting back to David Wilcock, though, I think he was just so desperate to escape himself. And I think that, I don't know how deliberate this was on Good's part. I mean, Good just seems to me like a garden variety sociopath. Personally, just the way I see
Okay,
it.
well, I have
But I
I
think
have
that
information on
David
Good, so I
Wilcock was
can't
so
talk about it.
Oh, she can't talk
you have
about it.
information, but you can't talk about that.
Yes, I
Yeah.
will say that
She's afraid that Corey's going to sue her too,
from what I know
because Corey sues everybody
of David,
or threatens to.
and by the way, who's this person talking? Did he ever meet David?
This is Chris Knowles. I don't know if he met David. I can ask him.
Doesn't sound like it. But at any rate, he sounds like a garden variety skeptic of the secret space program and everything I probably investigate. But nonetheless, the fact is that
I like how she denigrates anybody being skeptical of her crazy stories. Who cares if they come from murderers and child predators? These are true stories. I investigated them. Yeah.
David and Corey's relationship was one of whistleblower to the journalist, reporter, documentarian who was taking all the information. And I believe that in a certain sense, there is a weird relationship that goes on, if you want to call it that, between people like me and David when we take testimony, and we do form a bond with those whistleblowers that we deal with.
Yeah.
And,
Because you're making money with them.
And oftentimes we fight the good fight on their behalf. So I believe in what I know of David, he would have been defending Corey and his information. And I think that he probably thought, based on his background and his evaluation, that Corey's information was good and true. Now, Corey had to go in a court and
Yeah. Here's
deny
where
all
she
of it.
co-signs.
And I have reasons to believe that why he did that and so on and so forth. But it's not, I don't want to go there. All I'm telling you is just some background in terms of their relationship. I believe David believed Corey's story and believed he was being unfairly, because he kind of became a laughing stock for a while
Yeah, he
when
is.
they talked about the blue avians and the whole thing.
Yeah, because he told ridiculous, stupid stories, lady.
So I think that David,
And Corey Good, by the way, lost in court, and he just had a default judgment against him by Gaia TV. So there's another big loss for Corey Good. And by the way, he started all those lawsuits, and now he's going to have to pay the legal expenses of all the people that he falsely accused of all kinds of shit. And he's not going to be able to discharge those debts in bankruptcy. And I'm not sure, but I believe he owes Gaia TV something like $70,000, and maybe CW Channers owed like $25,000 or $30,000. That means he's $100,000 in debt and trying to declare bankruptcy at the same time, which means he's a loser and a bum and a deadbeat that doesn't pay his debts. But he just had a big loss in court.
became his defender. And that was part of the relationship going on there. And he's not the only person that David would have defended.
Yeah,
I'm
he
sure
is still
Pete Peterson and
laughing
others,
stock.
but those people didn't get exposed to becoming laughing stocks. Okay. So I have now decided that is great possibility
losing
that a
in
lot of
court
Corey's
train is
information
picking up
may
speed.
be actually legit, because there's reasons to believe that it might be.
Because you want to
But
believe it.
unfortunately, there are
Moron.
aspects to it that, just like the whole thing right now, everyone, I mean, in this milieu we're in right now, we're having this so-called disclosure. And what people have been laughing at for the last 80 years or more as being wildly crazy. And by the way, Cliff High was one of them, pretending to laugh at me when he was actually being paid to laugh at me and make me seem
Who was
crazy.
paying him to make
But
you
every
seem crazy?
single thing that I'm talking about,
You
and
did
I
it to
put into
yourself.
2 books now, is turning out to be true.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
right.
going to be substantiated more and more as we
No,
go
it
through
won't.
time.
It'll never
So
be proven or
laugh all you
substantiated.
want at all of us, but it's going to be proven, and it's being proven right in front of your face right now. And it could be proven in other ways, because
Yeah.
we are going to have a war.
Did
with
you
all
did you
planets.
prove all of the stories of the fake Dr. Pete Peterson that you platformed and co-signed and made money off of? Did you prove any of Bill Brockbrader, who molested his own 11-year-old sister-in-law? Did you prove any of his stories were real or true? Never. And you never will, because those people are frauds, and so are you for promoting them and making money from them, Kerry.
Aliens. And the Iran war is just the first step. And the Iran war is all about stargates
Yeah, he's a
that are like
millionaire.
doorways
Nobody needs to
that
pay
let
him to
in
do anything.
alien beings. And what those aliens have is technology that can let the people who let them in and make friends with them rule the world, because you can rule the world if you have the biggest gun. So that's what's really going on. But
He owes
you know,
a lot of people
go
a
ahead
lot
and
of money.
laugh. Go ahead and brush it off. Go
Corey
ahead and
lists a
pretend
broken
you think
BB
this
gun
guy
as
is
one of
some
his
kind of
assets.
authority on David when he doesn't know fuck all, and ignore me.
Oh, she's getting pissed.
Well,
She's
I'm
still
on.
pissed.
I got you on. So you defend the blue avians though, like as a scientist.
I'm not defending him, God forbid, but I happen to know some backstory on that regard. And I'm simply telling you that David wasn't crazy. If he was defending Corey and his story, there had to be some good
Yes, we are.
evidence there, because David was a wonderful
Where do I
researcher.
sign up? I can
He
laugh
was
at
an
this
excellent
crazy
author,
bitch.
and the one thing he always wanted to do was have a legacy. And
Again, she keeps calling him a great researcher. Great researchers don't take stories from fake doctors with fake educations, with fake work histories. They don't take stories from convicted child predators and promote them as true stories. And they would tell their audience, if they were a good researcher, this person is a convicted PDF file or a court-martialed PDF file, or this person is a murderer, or this person is a criminal. You guys don't do that. You just promoted their stories for money, because that's what you do, because you're a scammer and you're a grifter.
to have people respect him. And he adored science. It was like, in a certain sense, it was his first love.
Yeah, they live in their own.
So he would
fake
look at things, unlike me. I am not a scientist. I wouldn't even
Your
want to be I
imagination.
don't even like scientists anymore. I've seen them lie and be mind controlled to the nth degree, to such a degree that I never dreamed ever since the COVID thing. They have been absolutely.
Sure, it is.
I mean, I always couldn't stand doctors anyway, but now I have no respect for scientists, actually, by and large.
Yeah, anybody
Other
can write a
than they,
factless book.
They're
Yes.
trying to explore their world, but they don't understand it. And they go out of their way to put each other down, to put each other's science down, and to make fun of each other when they don't know fuck all. It's just amazing to me.
Yeah, she knows everything.
Instead of
Everybody
having an
else is
open
an
mind,
idiot, not
instead
her.
of exploring the world around us, people pride themselves in basically making fun of other people because they have open minds. And when you go out into the universe, as we are doing now, and you start opening these Pandora boxes, you're going to see that all the things that you thought were bullshit and you laughed at are true. So all I'm saying is I would put Corey Good
Yeah, first she
and
claimed she
his
was a scientist.
information
Now she said she would
into
never
that
claim to
group,
be a scientist.
that David believed in him, believed in his stuff. David is not a stupid man. He proved that he had a
You're
very
right,
high
yeah.
intellect. And therefore, I don't think he was just emotionally bowled over by something. No, he was legitimately devoted to the information that he was getting from Corey Good. I didn't hear that information. I didn't even pay attention to it after I broke away from them. But I can tell you that
You're
David
right.
didn't do anything without thinking it through thoroughly. He was an extremely thoughtful, had great self-reflection skills. He was
Why didn't he ever self-reflect on all the scams that he ran then? You know, if he was very self-reflecting, wouldn't you think that, you know, you would say like, hey man, this is too much scamming. We got to stop the scams.
great analyzer. You know, he was a good and excellent scientist.
He
The
wasn't
way
a
Jack
scientist.
Safadi, who writes articles every day.
He wasn't a scientist. Now he was never a scientist, Kerry. You can just, you notice how she just say anything? Oh, he was a great scientist. He wasn't a scientist at all, you moron, you idiot. Facts matter, Kerry.
On academia, is a great scientist. You know, it doesn't matter if you ever touch a free energy device, and I can guarantee you that David did. I can guarantee you that David actually was forming a company with Pete Peterson before he died, by the way. So he
Yeah,
was
in other
on that
words,
road for a long time.
I mean, listen, there were several doctors who
Yeah,
cured
she
cancer and then
probably
they wind
promoted
up
that.
dead or bankrupt or anything like that. So I accept that as an answer, that he made a investment in a company that was under attack. I accept that. I do have an open mind to evidence. What I don't have an open mind to is,
I have no
you know,
respect
even
for
the
scientists, but
Clintons that
David was a
chased
great
Bigfoot, you know,
one. What
they
a
at
nut
least go
job.
out and they put rubber cement into footprints or whatever. So if you're going to make extraordinary claims about blue
That's
big
true,
blue chickens,
Dr.
you should
Gusica.
have a feather or something like that. And I think I think he has.
That's an old argument that doesn't actually hold up, by the way.
Why not?
But
Why can't he
continue.
have some evidence about the blue avians? If you know, why isn't the standard of anyone who makes any discovery of a new moth under the same investigative rigor as the blue avians?
Space lasers.
Because what you're dealing with are levels of dimensions.
Oh, it's
densities,
interdimensional.
and this is what you
You
see
can't get any
is not
evidence.
all you get. Okay. So there are many, many, many permutations to reality. And this table that my computer is on, and my
permutations to
computer for that
reality.
matter, is alive. It's conscious as far as I'm concerned. And most Illuminati will tell you it's
Her table
conscious.
is conscious. What?
Consciousness is everything, because source is everything. And therefore we are
Yeah,
all
sounds like bullshit to
consciousness.
me, John.
And
Sounds
therefore,
like bullshit.
what you think is solid and material in this reality
Dimensions,
is
dementia,
a complete
whatever.
illusion. Most of them
Get
are
him,
just particles
Tails.
that are
Get her.
closer together in a rock and further apart in a
It could
human.
be.
They're
Because
particles.
Kerry says
And
so.
you
That's
can
why.
walk
Yes.
through walls. if your particles match the vibration, the frequency of the wall. I mean,
Oh.
you should study Tesla if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, because you'll learn a lot more.
She just told him he doesn't know what the F he's
I should
talking
open
about.
a damn book. Look, I know a lot about.
Poor
I
guy
stay
trying
in
to
my
interview
lane,
her.
and I try not to whisper a word of things that I don't know anything about. So I'm, if
My
I'm
table and chairs
skeptical,
are
or if
always
I'm
talking
okay,
shit,
well,
yeah.
A plus B equals C doesn't mean I'm making fun of things or
And we'll
shitting
have a
on
lot of
things. I think
content
about
for
these
this
things
week.
a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
I honor these things, and so that's why I'm like, well, okay, explain it to me then. I don't have an ego. I'm like,
Okay, but don't go around saying that you want some material reality to reflect on the multiverse that we live in, which is so extensive and may actually be a
Why
simulation.
would anyone ever
for all we
interview
know.
her? They want to make money off of her crazy,
yeah,
like everybody
I play
else.
a lot of video games, and I'm not
Well,
sure.
fight the fuck
I don't know.
down.
Maybe I'm going crazy. I started this whole thing saying that these people that are bullying David, I didn't appreciate it. So
All right, but I don't think they killed him. Okay, frankly, and I don't.
Wow, even Kerry Cassidy is defending me. And I just want to put it on the record once again that this is my official policy on this whole situation. Exposing somebody for scamming their audience many, many times is not harassment. It's good journalism, good investigative journalism. And maybe instead of blaming the journalist who exposed the scammer, you should ask yourself why the scammer didn't just stop scamming people when the heat was on and he was constantly getting exposed for scamming and lying to his audience. Just maybe think about it.
I think he killed himself. So we're at a parting of the ways in that way, but I'm just happy to agree to disagree. Did you have me on your show for any other reason? Because I told you ahead of time that I really didn't think that was going to be a worthwhile way to spend my time, was to go over the material I've already analyzed and put out my thoughts on.
Here she is again with her kuntiness. Boy, man, what a bitch. Like, you just wasted my time making me go over material I've already analyzed and made content about.
I apologize. You did say ahead of time that you weren't happy with the content. And then, for the last 3 weeks, I've been listening to dozens and dozens of hours of podcast material, slicing clips, and hopefully,
and she doesn't even want to hear all the clips you sliced to get her a reaction because she's too important for you, you moron.
to appreciate that effort. And I did go after the Boulder police report, which I got. I tried to be cordial and say, hey, listen, I'm really concerned with this character. You don't know this. In the early days of Highway Diary, episode like 1 through 10, a lot of stuff was about me being a fan of David Wilcock. So then when he died, this is an old thing. Me and my sister were driving across. We went to the Roswell UFO Museum. We talked to Mr. Mark Briscoe, one of our early episodes, and I was accusing him of holding back free energy. And why?
So
why
you're
are
a
you
nutter
in bed with the oil people?
Poor guy.
So I was accused. So I've been hip to this stuff for a while. I know that there's a lot of suppressed inventions out there for the big corporations to harvest our cash.
The hubris and the audacity.
Taxes.
How dare you waste her time? She's so important.
Medical care, which is always poison, and gasoline, which is obsolete.
Yeah, the deep state just called. They have no idea who you are, Kerry.
So I just want it to be, evidence and science-based. But if you're telling me that he was,
this is from a couple of
days
ago.
Says that it was a Ponzi
and
scheme.
Terry, I told you to stop putting me in your post. Don't put me in your post.
People have different opinions all the time. It's not the end of the world.
I don't think but those are two valid, logical perspectives. So I'm really glad that I had you on to highlight that. Have you dealt with that?
That's interesting.
Company that David had invested $1 million in, or you just listened to his interview that he did with the founder?
And the nutters are fighting each other for relevance.
And you had known some whistleblowers who, like, that's where some people say he wasn't a scientist. Like you seem to be lumping David with the 11 plasma scientists that have all been
because she can make money off of that.
Were they consultants to that free energy?
They were involved with, they're involved with reverse engineering UFOs. Absolutely.
No, they weren't.
So it's that company that
everyone is. Our whole earth is. The war is about getting off oil. Okay. Trump's pushing us through that door, whether we like it or not.
That would be a bad idea.
People,
AZ,
come on, think about it.
0XZ.
Trump is trying
Everything we
to.
do is about, okay, Hal Puthoff and all his scientists and Jack Sarfati.
Yeah, but
what are they
don't
talking
include
about?
me.
They're talking
Do not
about
include me.
UFO technology. How do they power the UFOs? That's what all of these organizations are doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to de-escalate, and if you keep putting me in your posts, that keeps reminding them to keep attacking me, and they're already threatening me, threatening my family, threatening my YouTube channel, calling the cops on me, calling other government agencies on me. So just please don't include me anymore, either my name or my likeness, or don't mention me. Just leave it alone. You want to say whatever you want to say about your situation, do it, but don't include me. It's all UFO cultists. All they think they're being targeted, even when their computer glitches, it's them being infiltrated and targeted. Yeah, I appreciate that, and I know you're trying to help, but it's not helping in my view.
Now, that's what NASA's doing.
Because now people are saying, "Oh, now you're calling for people to be arrested," and the same thing they're doing to you. No, I didn't do that.
Behind the scenes, that's what Bigelow is doing behind the scenes. You name them, and they're involved in free energy, what is called free energy, for lack of a better word, 0-point energy, call it what you will. This is, the Holy Grail, if you want to call it that. But they have it. They've done it.
Yeah, they have it and they've done it, but nobody can show a working device. All free energy devices are scams, investment scams, buy my plan scams, invest in my free energy company scams. We're going to change the whole world scam. And in the entire history of free energy scams, by the way, Dr. Stephen Greer ran a free energy scam. I believe that Billy Carson may have been involved in a free energy thing. We have David Wilcock for sure ran a free energy scam, and multiple UFO people have been involved in free energy scams. Ashton Forbes was trying to sell a free energy device that didn't work. If they already have it and it works, why can't they show us a working model and let somebody from weights and measures of the government measure their device and prove that it's producing more energy than is put into it? Nobody ever has, and nobody ever will, because there's this thing in the world called the laws of physics, like thermodynamics. It's against the laws of physics.
Okay, they've cracked it. But,
I love all these people like, they already have free energy. Well, then show us a working unit. You can't and you won't, because it's a fantasy. It's not real, you moron, you idiot.
So people on the outside are trying to get in and trying to get access and trying to learn about it.
And by the way, when I say that free energy is fake, I'm not somebody who just does research by proclamation. In my younger years, I bought a whole bunch of different plans for free energy devices from eBay, and I built all of them. I'm very good at electronics. I solder, and none of them worked. All of them were a ripoff. And then the person you bought the plans from would blame you, like you did something wrong in the construction. That's why it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work because it's against the laws of physics.
All right.
So a public.
The one thing I will say is that crystal batteries are fascinating to me, and I still don't understand how exactly they work, but I've built a bunch of them. And the closest thing to a working free energy device that I've ever come across in all of my experimentation is a crystal battery. And I'm going to be doing an episode about that because I've got a huge box of materials to make those in my garage. Maybe we'll do that.
Company that goes through that threshold, through that curtain, applies a patent to a technology, and then puts it for commercial. That is what they're holding back.
He's good.
They're not scared.
He's a great information source for retarded people.
Reverse engineered and patented, 60 years ago. I mean,
yeah. Somebody asked him why he wasn't using it in his house, because he lived with his mommy, and his mommy wouldn't let him.
They are going interstellar. They are going to Mars. We have colonies on Mars and the moon, on the moons of Saturn.
Yeah,
and
physics
maybe
isn't
Jupiter,
real, like the birds.
Outside our solar
birds
system.
are not real.
We go interstellar all the time. We jump. Okay, the craft jumps just like it does in Battlestar Galactica.
Oh.
I mean, and I have dialogues with a whistleblower who was in the secret space program his whole life, called Captain Mark Richards. That
Yeah, the murderer. You have a dialogue with a guy who's sitting in prison for murder. And by the way, that was a pretty brutal murder. They beat a man to death with baseball bats. And Kerry Cassidy is milking a man like that, a man who orchestrated somebody being beaten to death by baseball bats to steal money. And Kerry Cassidy is profiting from and promoting him as a real whistleblower. It's just so stupid. It's just so childish and so stupid. Absolutely ridiculous. And we'll take a moment to thank another kind and generous benefactor on Kick. We have Winter Soldier sent a skull emoji and 50 kicks. So we thank Winter Soldier for that kindness, generosity, and support. Much, much appreciated. And let's continue. I didn't plan on doing this whole thing, but it looks like we're just about there. So we'll finish this out. I'll be back, by the way, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No place I would rather be. And now that I'm got a sort of permission slip, my doctor didn't want me to work at all. Just wanted me to rest. But, you know, even this last weekend, like, I got plenty of rest. I took a whole lot of naps because on Thursday, they did the surgery, but they gave me very light anesthesia. But still, man, that Michael Jackson juice is no joke. I went home and I slept for like 5 hours right after the surgery. And the next day I slept and took a lot of naps. And the next day I slept and took a lot of naps. I'm ready to go. I'm kind of rearing to go, get back to a normal work kind of flow and schedule. So again, I'm going to say it one more time. In the comments of this video, if you're watching a replay, give me some show suggestions. Go to our Discord. There's a show suggestions section. Put in suggestions for new Truth Seeker shows or people you'd like to see me interview or see me investigate. I am all ears now. And I'd like to really step up the pace when it comes to creating a lot more content. We also have plans to do these Kick-only shows. I'm just trying to schedule it and figure out, like, I don't know that there's a lot of people on Kick during the day, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I thought about doing a day, just put the day shows only on Kick. I don't know. We're still figuring it out. But I'm all ears for suggestions. So in the live chats, put in all capital letters, topics you'd like to see me cover, people you'd like to see me interview or investigate. I'm all ears now.
I interviewed in prison for 12 times over a period of 5 years. Actually, now they've disappeared him. I can't get in touch with him so far lately because of
Well, he's still in prison.
a statement he made about 3-Eye Atlas. But I have a book that I've just re-released, re-edited to clean it up and make
Yeah, exactly what I want to do. Buy a book from a whistleblower that murdered somebody viciously, beat him to death with baseball bats. And as best I recall, he didn't do the baseball bat beating. He got other people to do it for him, but he orchestrated the whole thing. Does that sound like somebody credible that you should be listening to? You know, like a normal, rational person would go, well, this guy's in a prison cell all day and he's bored and I guess he enjoys being visited and, you know, telling people stories. That's what a normal, reasonable, or rational, real journalist would do. Not Kerry. Oh, you beat somebody to death with a baseball bat, but you were off world when that happened. So the government, you know, framed you for this murder event. And you're really a captain in the secret space program. Come on, let me write a book about you.
sure that the edits were correct because it was first downloaded from audio, recall. And therefore that, typos and things like that were there.
Thank you,
Sentence
Matthias.
structure wasn't correct because of, audio is never like the, audio, how we talk.
Yeah, in other words, her book is poorly edited and written. It reads like a retarded person wrote it. And she's blaming the audio transcription. Well, then get a professional to transcribe it, right? We thank you, Matthias, for a kind and generous $5 and one for the goal, saying for the goal and the rest. Thank you for that. Much, much appreciated. Matthias is a big show supporter, as are all of our supporters. And remember, I read and thank every single super chatter. So please don't be shy. And thank you, Matthias, for your kindness. And we've got Dollar Cost Backpacker. Sounds like a leader, like a spaceship captain. Yeah, well, this is what he does. He teleports out of his jail cell, and then he goes and saves Earth from the Gorgons every night. But then he's kind enough to teleport himself back into his jail cell after he's done with his secret space program, saving Earth. But thank you, Dollar Cost Backpacker, for your kindness, your generosity, and your big support of the show. Much appreciated. Let's finish this kooky, crazy Cassidy
Doctors
interview.
never like how we write, that kind of correction and so on. So I just released it. It's on Amazon. The book behind me is called Rebel Gene, that talks about
Yeah, here she is doing the pitch.
I've been doing
Buy my
this
shit.
every day, every
Buy my
hour for the
shit.
last 20
That's
years.
what it is. It's shit. Her
all I
books
can
are
tell you is,
shit.
yes. Secret space, getting hold of alien technology. That's what Saddam Hussein wanted. That's why he was letting the aliens in through the Stargate.
The alien Stargate in Iraq. Yes.
In Iraq. I mean, all of this is in my testimony that I've talked about a million times at this point. I'll talk about it more if necessary, but I just want you and the audience to understand that this is what I have done with my life, okay, is investigate
You've wasted
this
your life.
story.
You've
And I
wasted
can
your
tell
life
you
on fake
that
stories,
free
you dummy.
energy, 0 point energy, and other technology that comes from alien races
What is
is
STOS?
what
Troll,
it's
troll, troll.
all about.
What is STOS?
Okay.
I don't know what you mean.
And they are all about colonizing other planets, going outside our solar system. They don't think the sun is going to last, and so on.
Katie Death Squad has been a member for 17 months. Thank you for that. 17 months of support as a member. Very kind of you. You get a free super chat for that. Katie Death Squad says that felon murderer got into her secret space. Maybe that's how she paid him for his fake stories that she's selling in books.
Erica Kirk and Epstein were involved in child trafficking and taking children off planet to go.
Oh God, come on! Man.
Populate our colonies.
This lady, Erica Kirk, just lost her husband, who was violently unalived by an assassin, and now you're saying that she's trafficking children to other planets. Like, do you have no sense? She has no sense of morality, no sense of common decency. She's a disgusting pig for victimizing a widow like this. In my opinion, she's a disgusting pig. I'm allowed to say that. Yeah, her secret is out. She is disgusting, right? Yeah, she's taking children off planet, according to her, right? That's so stupid. And what's her evidence for that? Like, if you're going to victimize a recent widow, at least have some evidence. Oh, somebody told me. Was it a murderer or a child molester that told you this? Which one of your fake sources told you that, you dummy?
They looked for special children to do this with. Okay. So, I tell people these things and you can think I'm crazy.
Yep. There's
but
always a book to sell.
Day, it's
That's
amazing
right.
how many things I've talked about that are being proven right again and again.
Why don't you give us some examples? Nothing you've ever talked about has been proven right because you're a crazy, kooky lady.
And again,
who uses criminals for sources.
So call me crazy. I have no problem.
Crazy Kerry Cassidy. I'm gonna call you crazy every chance I get. That and kooky. You're also kooky
with that. But I can tell you that if you don't know that reverse engineering, alien tech is where it's at, and that's what everything that's going on our planet right now is all about.
Oh, it's all
that's
about
how
alien
we make
technology. That's
leaps and bounds into the future, and the secret space program is running our surface Earth. They could give a shit what anybody votes for up here. They simply they'll tell Trump what to do. The aliens they work with will tell them what to do with the financial system, and we will see who will win. Okay. But this is what's happening. Trump has to make a deal with them to even exist.
Oh, come on.
Do you think that Trump, in whatever capacity he has, is advocating for the release of, and there's a hostage negotiation right now, the free humanity with
Trump's going to free humanity
technology.
with free energy
Are you
tech.
on the bandwagon that
Yes,
Trump
obviously. Trump, it comes from,
because
his uncle worked with Tesla. I believe Trump
uncle never worked with Tesla, you dumb bitch. His uncle was assigned by the government to go snatch Tesla's papers and notebooks and all of his material when he died. His uncle never worked with Tesla. Facts matter. I know you don't care. You're spouting nonsense like people are trafficking children to other planets, but facts matter, dummy. Trump's uncle never worked with Tesla.
Became president because of a deal that was made by the dark side. Because as his uncle helped decipher the Tesla papers and secret them away, which they've
She
never seen
claims
the
a
light
lot
of
of
day
things.
since
She's
then,
kooky.
except in secret projects. And that Trump was part of the deal. Okay, that's his family connection.
You would
So
think
he
she
is
would leave
right
a
in there
widow alone,
in
right?
spades.
She doesn't care who she hurts as long as she
Yeah,
gets
his
money
uncle
for her
was
nonsense
involved in
that she
funding
spouts.
or holding the patents for Tesla or facilitating
Moron.
his
In
research.
collecting the documentation, what that involved, I don't know.
Again, neither of these morons knows the story. When Tesla died, the government sent Donald Trump's uncle, who was a very prestigious scientist at the time, into the room to gather all of his documents, his notebooks, plans, whatever he had there, because the government was very interested in his so-called death ray technology.
Okay. I just hope that we're headed for a release of these technologies, as
Yeah, of course. The
family members
tariffs
have
came
all
from the
these medical
secret space
problems, and I
aliens.
wish
Yeah.
medical things would be released, cures for things that
Yeah.
have
What
been
about the med
suppressed.
beds?
I'm all about. I made a whole documentary about suppressed invention, so I'm on your side.
Okay.
I just want but I also like evidence-based things, and I want to
Backlash.
So do I.
Backlash from a
That's why I'm a
douchebag.
researcher.
go to a car
Oh,
dealership.
she's a
and
researcher.
buy
She just does no
a
research.
magnet-powered car, which I've known about, or a water-powered car that Stan Meyer was murdered over. Like I think
And
I'm
Bob
just like,
Lazar.
and
was
Bob Lazar. Let's go over these.
scorned
Let's
over.
find these people who are the gatekeepers and murder them. To me, it's very easy.
He's calling for
I don't
people
know
to be
how this
killed.
is difficult,
Nice.
but I don't know why we can't throw them all in wood chippers and start a new day fresh, print new money. I don't know why we can't do this. What is stopping us?
Because
I
as
think this guy's going to hold off on interviewing people for a while. He needed like psychological counseling after this interview. She just beat him up for the whole interview, called him stupid, said his interview was a waste of her time.
as always, the ones with the biggest gun and the best mind control right now are in power on this planet. And I am sure that the White Hats are doing everything they can to make
How anybody could still be a Q-tard after it was all exposed is just beyond me. But she's still a Q-tard.
deals with the dark side, to get through, to take over for the dark side, to trick the dark side. They're busting their ass right now fighting this war.
There's no war being fought. There's no secret wars. That's Marvel.
And it is a war to free humanity.
Yeah, I'm fighting a war against bullshitters like you, Kerry.
Eternal war between good and evil. Even when I was in
Could you imagine, like, you're on your deathbed and then you realize that you have spent 20 years of your life just living in a false reality, co-signing every crackpot weirdo that agrees with your alien nonsense, no matter if they're a criminal, a murderer who viciously murders people, a child predator. Well, as long as they talk about the aliens that I like to talk about, it's all fine. Stu Kelberg's dog with one for the goal, with a very important point. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. The trick is finding it. All energy is free in this sense. Here is to your continued health. Yeah, that is a very good observation. And I once had somebody argue with me over this statement that you made. We were like, well, what about wind energy, Stephen? That's created. No, that's wind turning itself, the energy of the wind turning itself into electrical energy through a generator means. That is energy changing form. That is not energy being created from nothing, which is what the free energy people think is possible. And it's not. But thank you, Stu Kelberg's dog for your kindness, generosity, and big support of the show. And thanks for all the support. We only got one more minute of this. We can make it through.
Cathedrals in Rome, they're pointing up and down. There's only one choice, heaven or hell. And there's just this internal struggle that humanity is always going for because we have these entities over us, good and bad. Hopefully the good guys win. Anyway, Kerry Cassidy, her books are you
gotta plug the books. Help her sell her bullshit. Yeah, that's why she's on your show, to sell her bullshit.
Gene Secret Space and the Future of Humanity, and Space War Total Recall, book 1 and 2. Thank you to my guest, Kerry Cassidy. I hope it was fun for you and not too contentious.
I hope it was for you as well.
Thanks, Miss Kerry
Yeah,
Cassidy.
I hope it was fun, me berating you, calling you stupid, and saying that your interview was a waste of my very important time. All right, we made it through, friends. We made it through another crazy Kerry Cassidy interview. Let me know in the comments, would you like to see more crazy Kerry Cassidy interviews? My favorite was when she interviewed, we've already done it several times here. One time she interviewed Stephen Greer, and they got into an argument about, you know how Greer says all the aliens are good guys? And she says, no. What about the ones that are abducting people? And he was like, well, no, that's government psyop. The aliens aren't really abducting people. And they got in this big, huge argument over whether aliens are all good or whether some aliens are bad guys. It was pretty funny. Yeah, that's an old one. Yeah, but it was still the funniest interview I've seen her do, because she got in this huge argument with Stephen Greer, and they both try to out crazy each other's crazy. It's just classic. One of my favorite interviews ever. Yes, that one was pretty wild. Well, we made it through, friends, and I want to take a moment to thank you, kind and generous benefactors, and also remind you that because of my medical situation, I've been a little behind on the extra goodies for you members and the extra goodies for you Patreon supporters too. And just a reminder, we have a couple of ways you could support us. One is to just hit that join button and become a member, get access to our members area. The other way is to go to patreon.com, and it's in the description of this video or podcast, and you can join our Patreon for as little as $1. Just know that you get the same benefits being a member or a Patreon supporter, but on the YouTube side, you get some extra goodies like a member badge and priority reply in the comments and things like that, because I can tell you remember. I'll put it in the live chat. It is the funniest. 1 second here. It is one of my favorite interviews in all of Conspiracy Land, because they just argue for like more than an hour, and it got really contentious. And I mean, they really Kerry Cassidy, you can just go to our search bar, use that little magnifying glass, Kerry Cassidy, Stephen Greer. I've replayed that one a couple of times. It's called Let's All Laugh at Kerry Cassidy and Stephen Greer Arguing About Aliens. Oh man, it is one of my favorites. I'm going to put it here in the 1 second. I will pin it in the live chat. What? It went to another video, not mine. All right, 1 second here. Let me put that in the live chat, and I'll just put Kerry and Stephen Greer. If you haven't seen this one, it is the funniest Kerry Cassidy. She just went full retard. They both did. All right, I'm going to put that. I will pin it in the live chat, both in the YouTube live chat, and I'll go over to Kick and I'll pin it over there as well. Kerry Greer show. Besides, we need the views. So after this broadcast ends, go watch that one as well. If you enjoyed tonight, you'll really enjoy this one. What is going on with my 1 second. I have to pin it. It's in the True Seekers live chat, but I have to pin it. I will pin it. Oh no, I did pin it. All right. And it looks like the goal counter is working now, but I missed 3 or 4 of them. So we're really at 10 of 30 for the goal. At least we got a third of the way there. We thank you all for your kindness, generosity, and support. Also, remind you can always buy me a coffee or send a PayPal pledge. And it's instructions for how to do that are in the description of this video or podcast. I will be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No place I would rather be, especially now, because I really am feeling like fully recovered. You know, all this brain bleed and brain aneurysm stuff started in November. Well, really, it started 15 years ago. But apparently back in November, one of my bionic brain parts malfunctioned, and they had to install some new bionic brain parts. But this last Thursday, they went in through my wrist here. Isn't that amazing that they can go through your wrist all the way up to your brain? But they were able to do that. They went in just for a look-see and to check, and it looks like the aneurysm is shrunk because they put in the bionic parts which prevent blood from going to it. So it's not going to cause it shouldn't cause me any more problems. From my mouth to God's ears. So I'm feeling much better. We're going to be doing a lot more shows starting with tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to say this again. Let me know in the comments. What subjects do you want me to cover? What people do you want me to cover? What people do you want me to interview? What subjects would you like me to investigate and bring to you? I have been kind of on a kick lately of haunted house stories. And let me know if you would be interested in hearing some of those. You know, I'm very skeptical, but some of those stories are pretty good stories. And whether you believe it's something paranormal or not, they're still pretty interesting stories. We've also got a couple of interviews that I've been putting off because, you know, we've had not much time for shows because of my health condition, but now I'm fully recovered. So we're going to be booting those interviews back up. We've got plans to start a daytime show that will be an hour, which will most likely be at 1:30 or 2 p.m. I'm trying to decide. I have to get my kids off the bus at 3:30. So it's a 1 hour show, but you know, sometimes you run over. So it'll probably be at 1 p.m. or 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that'll be a new show format. And Arlene is reminding people you can leave suggestions for new shows in the Discord. And here's the link to join the Discord. If you enjoy chatting with like-minded truth seekers from all over the world, you can do it not just during the live broadcasts here, but you can do it 24/7 in our Discord. There's lots of different sections with all different subjects. People really enjoy the Discord. I'm in there every day, so if you have questions for me, you can always ask them there. Or comments for me, you can always leave them there. Trolley says, both my brother and I saw the same ghost when we were kids. Yeah, I was convinced that one of our houses was haunted when I was a kid, but it might have just been that the house was old as dirt. And you know how old houses make noises? This house was noisy. We'd hear all kinds of weird shit. And yeah, glad to see you home and healing up well. Yeah, I got a lot of rest. I was going to do shows over the weekend, but I just decided to just rest. That Michael Jackson juice is no joke, you know. The good news is, I don't know what they did this time, but the last time that I had full-on anesthesia, I was informed by the nurses and the doctors and the staff that I woke up violently screaming and like flailing my arms, and they had to have 3-4 nurses hold me down. And then I lost consciousness and then came back to consciousness calmly the second time. But this time, apparently I had no problems. And isn't it funny? Like sometimes you just dread. I was dreading going to the hospital and doing this, mostly because I thought I was going to get stuck there for an extended period, even if that was a couple of days. But I was able to get in and out on the same day, which was great. And so fully, it was not a big deal, this surgery. In fact, I walked out of the hospital. They offered to push me in the wheelchair. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to walk, you know. Just walked down to the garage and, you know, thankfully my wife picked me up and everything worked out great. And I was able to celebrate my birthday at home with my family and my beautiful wife who made this huge spread. We just, one of my favorite things in the world is a Chinese food feast. You know, just go buy as much Chinese food as you can eat in a few days. And the good news is we have plenty of leftovers for today because my wife really bought a big spread of stuff. So I'm going to go eat some leftover lo mein. We've got beef lo mein, my favorite. even though that's off my diet, but I'm cheating. It was just my birthday. I consider it still my birthday, and I'm going to eat some cherry pie and some delicious beef lo mein. I will be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But for now, that is all I got for you. We want to thank FF9000 who sent one kick. But thank you, FF9000. We love the kick support because we get to keep most of it. So thank you, FF9000 for support. Yeah. So I'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But for now, that's all I got for you. So until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Thank you for all the birthday well wishes, and thank you for all the well wishes on my surgery, which went great. Thank you for all the people who said they were praying. Maybe that's why it went so great. Yeah, but good night, and God bless all of you.
Dark corners of the night, secrets hidden from the light. Whispers turn to screams, shattering all your dreams. Eyes wide open now, truth you can't disavow. Echoes through the halls, crashing all your walls. Truth seekers exposing the truth. Truth seekers coming for you. Uncover the lies, open your eyes. Shadows try to hide, no place for them to bide. Light will pierce you through.